Welcome in, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 7 a.m. right here on Jox. College football is back tomorrow night. Locally going to be strong tomorrow night as well. Damien is going to be on the call for the Stanford game tomorrow night. UAB goes tomorrow night. We'll be at it. And then this weekend, week one, we get going. We need to start taking a peek at some of the matchups from this weekend to have a fun little more or less over-under game for us as it's going to pertain to week one and how some of those games may go with individuals or teams, what they're going to do, not going to do, versus the teams that they're going to be facing off against. First off, how's the neck?
At least 40% better.
You're getting words out. First segment this morning. That's a win. That's a plus.
Well, I've been
We're ahead of yesterday.
I've already had a rollout this morning. Very, very grateful.
Like you listened to Ludacris? Is that what you mean?
Ooh. No, I should have. That would have been good. If I start blasting Luda in the house pre 7A, unless it's a member guest weekend, something's probably gone pretty wrong. But no, I had a little rollout this morning, and I'm feeling good. I think the needles helped yesterday. I think the adjustment helped yesterday. I also feel like I'm drugged up, heavily medicated right now.
Whoa.
Not on things that are going to impact my brain. But yeah, no, I'm a lot better. I'm trending in the right direction. Still have a long way to go to the finish line, but trending in the right direction. Our
friend Josh Pate decided to take shots at you yesterday. You good with that?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
What did you take shots for?
Well, he had the picture of you from the show shirtless and said this mythical dream of his when he becomes college football commissioner, which is never going to happen.
Yeah.
That our show will be banned.
Who took pictures and put it online of me shirtless?
I think he found that screenshot. He watches the show.
Well, I could be roided out like him. I can go that's an easy fix.
Crumble has a strawberry pretzel pie cookie. One of the listeners at Gravy @ the Gravy Train. Great Twitter handle, by the way. Tweets in the show asking if we've tried this. No, but I will. Be glad to. Crumble wants to send one over. I've had bad experiences at Crumble, so I will not be paying money for it.
Really?
I'm just going to say that. It's just.
How do you have a bad experience with a cookie?
I think your expectation is it's going to be that of other cookie joints.
Oh, yeah. No, it's not the best.
It's not close to some of the others, which have you tried Cookie Fix yet?
Yeah. After our whole show that one day, Meredith told me that I have had Cookie Fix and that she just buys the dough.
Which is fine.
Yeah. I've not been in Cookie Fix, but I have had a Cookie Fix cookie.
I may or may not have taken one of the giant balls of cookie dough out of the freezer and just kind of let it marinate room temperature for about 5 minutes and then just taken a chunk out of it. Probably should have let that warm up for a little while longer, but.
Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with eating. In our house, if you're an adult, you can eat cookie dough.
Oh, yeah. It's just frozen cookie dough, not always the best.
That's a rule.
Not always the best. It's kind of tough to get into. We always have every year these little, it's a glimpse of fall. Oh, it's the first feeling of fall. Guys, today feels like.
Do you say that? Is that what you?
Today feels like we should be talking Alabama Auburn with the way it feels out there.
It feels nice.
I feel like we should be talking Bama Tennessee or something.
Yeah.
With the way it feels right now.
It does feel great outside.
I feel like we should be saying that the Big Ten is not allowed to play night games anymore with the way it feels right now. It's incredible today.
You think we need to make sure that the Big Ten has lights up, ready to go? Like for the games playing this weekend?
It's not going to happen. They're not going to do it. It's too cold.
It's too cold.
Maybe we should go through SEC schools. If each SEC school were to ban one member of the media from their stadium, who would it be?
Oh, my gosh. That's amazing.
Alabama.
I love it. Alabama, who they banning? Cubelic.
You let him in here.
Barn.
Watch out. Week 2 is going to be tough.
I actually think Portnoy might be Bama's, too.
What has he done to them?
I don't know. He just feels like he'd be a troll.
Is there a guy that Bama would want to keep out?
No, it'd be Cannell.
That's a good one. Here's the better question. How many SEC schools is Cannell the answer for?
Just about all of them. I don't know. I don't feel like there's too many like legitimate trolls. Like I feel like those that covered the sport nationally.
Auburn? Who would it be? He writes
Matt
words.
Leinart.
He writes words in this town.
Matt Leinart.
He puts words together for a publication on the internet in this town. I'll say that.
Okay. I know who you're talking about, but does he?
I don't know if he believes that you have to score more in the second half than the first half to be a good coach or not, but I do think that would be the answer.
Does he work for Al.com?
I don't know what Al is.
You can call me Al.
Is that what that says?
What?
Those are the lyrics of that song?
Yeah. You can call me Al.
Oh, yeah, that's right. For a moment, I was thinking, call me out.
Oh, no.
I don't listen to songs
if
that
you really
closely.
think about it, though, like how many members in the media that are like genuinely respected? Back to like your boy Pate, like our boy Pate, I guess. Like
Not
Pate,
anymore.
Why? Because you tweeted a shirtless picture of me?
You can't take shots at my teammate and we're just going to be okay. This is like you saying, get your bag, dog, and we're still cool with the guy. Like
that's the funny thing is like people make fun of quarterbacks' bodies all the time. Like, come meet me outside. Catch me outside.
Forgive me, I'm loyal.
Oh, that's kind of you. I don't really care that much. But anyways,
I just need reason to be mad at Josh because I'm going on a show tonight.
Ooh,
so
love it.
Can I tell him that you're mad at him tonight?
Well, you can tell him that I'm mad at him, but I'm not mad at him. But if you really look at like people that cover the sport nationally, they like have a decent following. Like most guys cover it the right way because the day of the troll, if you will, has kind of come and gone, has it not? Like where you are
in a sense, no, I get it. I think now
you know what I'm saying?
The day of the troll days now are more based on like a certain stance on something kind of like what Danny does with the SEC.
Right.
Like there's an SEC dude floating around right now taking shots at members of the media for appearing or not appearing on other media platforms. Like he went at Josh, was one of the guys he decided to go out on. Now he got bodied, but he thought that'd be a good idea to be able to go out and do that. So I think now it's kind of like I'm going to find a stance on it's more of an opinion-based stance on a thing as it is. I'm going to attack a school, attack a player, attack a coach, things of that nature.
Gotcha.
It's interesting that you say that. I don't know why that is or what the reason for that would be. Maybe people are just over it. It's not entertaining anymore.
Yeah, I think it's just flying too close to the sun. Like, I mean,
but I'll also say this too. You tell me if you agree with this or not. I think the day of the troll has moved to a realm where, and this is not a knock on this group of individuals either, to where you're almost either Barstool or you're not. Because Barstool's best at it, and they can be over the top with it. So if you're going to do it, you better try to match their intensity with it. And if not, it's a letdown.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are either scared or don't have it in them to kind of go that far with it. So you're either that over the top with a lot of things,
yeah,
or you can't be that guy.
Yeah,
and if you can't be that guy, then you got to know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you got to live it daily. Like I think that the day of like the quote troll, it just people get tired of it and you lose credibility. Like, okay, you get a lot of run, for example, on social media in a short period of time, which is great. And then after a while, people are like, all right, well, what's next? Like, I think I think it wears out its welcome pretty quickly. And I think that what stands the test of time is doing high quality work, preparing, diving deep. Like I listen to some podcasts, for example, like I'm deep in the podcast world. After reading 1 million books this summer, I'm back in the podcast. I listen to some podcasts. I'm like, do you guys even prepare? Like seriously, like I'm going to say which ones. But I listen to guys that I think know ball, and it's the most basic elementary treetop conversation I've ever heard in my life. And they played. It's like, do you even prepare? I think the people acknowledge who's prepared, who studies. I think people truly still at the end of the day want to learn. Like I still think people care about learning and being informed. And that I think will stand the test of time. Whereas trolls, they get really, really good interaction very quickly, and then their shtick fails. and then they're nowhere to be seen or heard from again. So I think I don't know, the trolls I feel like peaked about 10 years ago, and now I just don't feel like I see them as much anymore.
I'm kind of interested to get other people's thoughts on this. John, where are you on this conversation? Are they still I'm getting messages in that as long as Paul is still on the air, trolls are alive, and that's going to be a real thing. I don't think Paul does that anywhere near to the extent that he used to. I think there are certain times he'll take his shots. I think he's much more calculated with them now. I think he picks and chooses his battles. And I think now, maybe different than when Pat and Paul first started, is there's underlying reasons for why he wants to do a lot of the things that he does. A lot of which his listeners may never know. But where are you on this sort of trolls are dead, trolls still alive, Saber?
I think more so now people have gotten away from – I still think people troll, but they wait until after something happens instead of preemptively going after someone and saying something. Because,
to avoid the receipts?
Yes, because you can't be proven wrong in this world today, or you can't be wrong once you're proven wrong. And see, you tweeted this, I told you were wrong, and then all of a sudden you're canceled. People would much rather jump on you
So freezing cold takes ruin trolls is what you're saying.
I don't know if I call it ruin it. It just
he put them in check.
It allowed people to maybe more effectively troll, because now you can't. If you say like today, back in the day, like, hey, I think Auburn's going to win, or I think Auburn's going to lose.
Yeah.
Somebody can be like, oh, well, Cole's a Barna. Of course he's going to think, or of course Greg hates Auburn. You can go like that. But then they come back Monday after you say whether or not they're going to win or lose. They have your prediction, and in their minds, you can do no wrong. Therefore, when you're proven wrong, I have to point it out because I'm better than you. Because even though I didn't say anything, you went out on a limb, you said something, and you were wrong. And, well, obviously, it didn't work, even though you had the gumption to go out and do it ahead of time. So it just feels like to me that people are much more scared now.
Yeah.
And probably while also scared, feeling empowered because they can hide behind Twitter. They can hide behind their keyboards and just be like, well, see, you were wrong. What do you know?
Yeah.
Like, well, I didn't say I knew anything. I took a guess. I just happened to be wrong. But what did you do?
I also think there's so many outlets for it now that people get tired of it really quickly. When there's one person that was, as John's saying, after the fact, when it's low-hanging fruit and it's really easy to then go take your shots, it's a lot easier to turn the page now because, I mean, we see it every day in social media. It's like, okay, I've seen this already. Yes, we get it. Okay, you don't like him. Okay, yeah, that was a dumb decision. Like, it's, okay, fine, I'm done. I don't want to see this anymore.
Right.
And people just don't pay attention to it because you've seen 47 different people say the same thing because it was so easy to go out there and say it.
It is everywhere. I think the oversaturation of trolls is also valuable. But one thing I have noticed, people are naturally now in this world. Why do you Paul is successful because he is outspoken in favor of the SEC. He is viewed as the SEC honk, the SEC homer, whatever it is that you want to, like a guy that's going to chirp no matter what, always rip on the Big Ten, always build up the SEC. That's like where Paul is kind of navigated too. I look at a guy like Joel Klatt. Every time I watch a Joel Klatt broadcast, it's this guy's the best, this guy's the best team, the best matchup, the best conference, the best this, the best that. And he always is calling Big Ten games. So he is outspoken about how elite the Big Ten is across the board. He's been doing it. I've heard him call I don't remember what game it was, like a Minnesota Ohio State game. It's like, this is the best matchup. This is the best O-line. He's talking about Minnesota. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? And I think that people naturally gravitate to those because they want to be in echo chambers. People want to live in echo chambers. For those that just call balls and strikes, it's a little harder to carve out this world. But if you naturally align with some of your takes, some of your commentary with a certain segment, like you can't be a hater. Like where Cannell fails is with the haterness towards the SEC. But if you are pro SEC, super pro SEC, then the SEC will gravitate towards you. If you're super pro Big Ten, the Big Ten will gravitate towards you. If you're just ripping on the Big Ten, that's not a way of doing business. You know what I mean? Like if you're just ripping on the SEC, it's not a way of doing business. You have to be pro something so that you can create your echo chamber for your followers to kind of get into. That's kind of how I'm seeing the world right now with how people are consuming content. Do you see it that way?
To an extent, yeah, I see where you're going, and I agree with a lot of that. A couple folks just tweeting in quickly. Greg Skipworth tweets in at Mac and Cube if you want to be a part of the show. The thing that interests me in Feinbaum is with the guests. The callers don't interest me at all, never have. Leaving and information are what I want out of the show. Big Sexy at Seabass Jimmy 1 tweets in, your whole industry operates on trolling. Most of you are just more subtle with it.
Nah, I don't agree with that.
You think that's us? Honestly? That Greg, Damian, John, and I are just subtle trollers?
Yeah, how much does Herb Street troll? How much has, the best that have done it for a long time, how much have they trolled? Yeah.
Jolly tweets in a pretty good point. He said, Pate State would have to go first. He's one-dimensional. No Bruce Pearl interviews, basketball coverage, never done live physical therapy on the air. Totally fair. I feel like that's a totally fair comment and one that should be brought up and highlighted. So,
and if you see his workout videos, whenever he's out of campus, it's always biceps. Never leg day, never anything else. One-track pony.
Nothing wrong with that.
Also only works out at campuses or campi.
Yeah.
So
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah,
nothing wrong with
get your workouts in when you can. But I feel like
I'm about to say, if you're getting it in, I can't hate.
Rick Trickett would be a fan.
Get you a pump.
Oh, you got an interview today? 5 minutes into you can pump it a quarter.
Just go out there and get yourself a pump.
You better intimidate Cristobal in this interview. Get over there and get some curls. It's the only way. The only way to take care of your home to make sure the temperature is not an issue is with a Train. Alabama heat and humidity can be brutal. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable Train cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand in 11 consecutive years. Official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Train.com. It's hard to stop a Train. Trent Dilfer, 7:30. Chris Nee covers Florida State. He joins us at 8:20. Larry Williamson covers Clemson. He's with us at 9 a.m. We'll talk more college football next on Jox. beginning to look at some of the games coming up this weekend. There are some massive ones. First, Damian was bringing up how hard it was to move the table that Greg was laying on yesterday when Jeffrey Amherst was in here dry needling his neck, which he says he feels a lot better today.
I do feel a lot better. Thanks, Jeff.
So you're saying he was heavy.
Yeah, like it's
dense.
He said, I felt every bit of 220 moving around. So here's an interesting conversation that Greg and I had after you came in and the table was set up and you left yesterday, and that is how much you weigh.
Yeah.
We
have a
kicked
guess.
this around and we debated on this. You said what, 165?
I said 170.
Yeah, because the debate was, is he in the 60s? I said 172. John, do you want to take a guess at how much Damian weighs? I mean, no offense here, but it's essentially almost like guessing a female's weight to me, because people see a girl and it's like, oh, she must be like 180. And I'm like, oh, well,
I don't
she's
think
lean.
it'd be wise to do that.
Right.
Like 180s are lean for me and for a female. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know female weights. I don't know. Like, I don't know what hefty is. I don't know what super light is. Like, I have no idea.
Ladies, do you know that?
What is what?
Well, seeing as how Damian's gone the way of Ole Miss and Hottie Toddy, he's probably let himself go a little bit. Honestly, I was thinking 183.
183.
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
How much? Do you know how much you weigh right now?
Yeah.
How much?
181.
Okay.
Close is not going over.
Hold on a second.
Play for 160. Okay.
You like
right.
verbally pounded
You are
the podium
kind of fat
there.
right now.
Yeah, I mean, I put on some weight. Over
No,
the
but
years.
there was like a verbal
put on
pounding
density,
of
you
the
didn't
podium
put on
saying
weight.
that like you're super heavy.
Yeah, this is the heaviest I've ever been in my life.
thick.
Tell him you're dense.
Yeah.
Oh, so us saying
So
you were
I
in the
ain't thick, I'm
60s was
dense.
not out of line at all.
Maybe 5-6 years ago.
You're complimenting yourself on this, and
Yeah,
that is
man,
not that.
This
I'm
is
good
the
with it.
heaviest I've ever been.
I think 180 is good. That's a good
Being
weight.
in the 60s in good shape is not.
5'6",
You don't
180.
pound your chest over that, by the way. Like
Hang on,
you're
by
a
the way,
jockey.
5'7".
Didn't we look up the average size of adult males in this country not that long ago? Was this
5'9",
this year?
200.
It could have been in 2022 or this year.
It was
I
during the
really
summer.
don't know.
It was during the summer.
It was this summer. Okay, so we looked up the average size of an adult male in the United States of America, and I believe we came to the conclusion that it was 5'9",
yeah.
215 pounds, correct?
I was gone that day. I remember you guys doing it because you told me about it.
It was,
No, you were there.
You were here.
No,
No,
I
you were
think I was
100% here. Just because you don't want to acknowledge it.
You were here.
I think it was 5'9", 215. I don't remember the weight. I think it was 215. It was definitely heavier than I thought.
Right.
And it was shorter than I thought. So looking back at it, Damian, I think, is about in line with an undersized, as far as weight,
Right.
male in America.
He's about it.
You're skinny. Long story short.
I've been like that for a long
Okay,
time.
first off, like, let us help you understand here. No one was trying to say that you look porky by any stretch of the imagination. We were essentially referencing just how light are you in general.
Yeah.
That's where the conversation was headed. And so we were debating whether it was over under 170 with a 0.
Yeah, I was over that.
In the
Over that.
60s or in the 70s. John guessed correctly in the 80s. But that's
Yeah.
I feel like you're taking this as like with a badge of honor.
I
That's
am.
not where this was intended to go.
He's out here flexing.
Yeah.
And
Right.
again, I
It's
literally said
not where we
he
were.
let himself go. And he's like,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right,
We're
Playboy.
still
yeah.
under 185 at the end of the
Yes,
day,
yes, I
which is, by the way, the average weight of a jockey. Does anyone want to take a shot at that?
115.
I was gonna say like 130.
5'4",
No, like it's like
135.
110.
I don't have the height, but it's 108 to 118.
Yeah. Might be.
Wow.
Don't worry.
So I'm too heavy for the horse.
You might be the horse compared to the jockeys. You got a better chance of being the horse than the
Than the
jockey.
actual jockey.
Just saying.
Kentucky Derby horses must carry 126 pounds, 121 for fillies. Since equipment typically weighs about 7 pounds, jockey's body weight must be 119 or less.
Hang on a second.
Other races, lower level races or handicaps, may have weight assignments as low as 116 to 118.
Hang on a second. I have a genius idea. $1 million idea. Here's what we're going to do, boys. We're going to go to Kentucky. We're going to buy a horse farm. And
Whole farm.
here's the plan. Think about what ladies and some men are using right now to increase the output on their workout. What are they using right now?
Creatine.
Yes, that. But weight
Human
vest.
growth hormone.
Weight vests, right? Weight vests are like the new norm.
I bet they have weighted vests for horses.
Hang on.
That's what those flower things are.
You know what our weighted vest is? Damien. I have it figured out. That's our secret sauce. We will take Damien, and the horse will train with Damien riding him, and then we'll replace Damien with a jockey of appropriate size, and he'll be ripping.
I mean,
dude, we got it.
If he's 180, it's more of an overweighted vest.
We're gonna make millions. Heck yeah.
I'm down.
See ya. Mac and Cube Farms. Bye, Birmingham.
I don't see a weighted vest for horses. All I see is like the flak jackets that the humans wear when they ride horses. So I don't.
There you go. I just told you, Damien is our weighted jacket.
I'll do what I can. Team player.
We are so back.
Okay.
Investors, possibly you.
Well, we could park that horse in a Pro Lift garage if need be.
Ooh, that would be a little. We want our horses to be tough. So we don't necessarily want them to be closed in an air-conditioned, comfortable environment. Because if you go with Pro Lift Garage, you're going to understand exactly why they've become one of the best reviewed garage door community-based companies here in the area. Mike is amazing. He's the owner. They have 200 5-star reviews. They can work on existing garage doors for repairs. They can install new ones. There's no service call fees, so you only pay for the work, not the visit. They can service all brands of garage doors, too. A lot of people think that ProLift is a garage door brand. It's not. This is the name of the company, and they can service all the garage door manufacturers out there. You're going to be really happy with the experience that you have. The thing is, I don't think a lot of people realize that they need regular maintenance for their garage door. They just don't even think about it until it breaks, which has happened to me. Had a spring replaced in the past. It's kind of a nuisance, as you can imagine. Can't get the car out. A little bit of a problem, especially when your wife's trying to take the kids to school and the door doesn't open. Not ideal. Uber to school, not great. So you want to make sure that your garage door is ready to roll, and the guys at ProLift Garage Doors can help get you there. If you have unusual noises, if you have slow response times, if there's vibration, call for a maintenance service. Go to ProLiftDoors.com. That's ProLiftDoors.com. ProLift Garage Doors, lifting your expectations.
All right, when we come back, UAB head football coach Trent Dilfer previews week 1 next on Jox. 7:30, Wednesday, August 27th, right here on Jox. Let's go to the Higginbotham hotline. No game day men's health read or automobile reads today for Coach Stiffer. We're going to spare him that. But we are going to focus in on week one. Coach, what are you most confident in based on what you got out of camp with your football team as you guys are set to take the field tomorrow night?
I think we'll play with great effort. I'm not sure I know anything else, but we will play with great effort. This group is wired different. Their buy-in has been different. They are relentless with their effort. Our GPS times this week were the best they've ever been in the history of the program, according to Lyle. Max outputs, our lifts, they're tired. It's the end of camp. We had 25 PRs our last week at camp. Lyle's never seen a single PR in his history of strength and conditioning. What I mean by that, sorry for the people who don't understand, they hit their personal records in lifting metrics in the end of camp, which tells me they have the ability to keep pushing. It means we did camp right from a recovery standpoint. So I think this group will really play hard.
Coach, let me ask one more quickly, Greg. I wanted to follow up on that because we talk about these teams, Coach, and we openly say, we don't know what we're going to get. We don't know how it's going to look. Do you think a lot of these coaches, I don't really think intentionally, but how many guys do you really think know what they're going to get week one with their football teams right now? I mean, you're being very honest with it, saying, I feel great about this one aspect of it, but we got to get out there. Is that pretty much the norm, in your opinion?
Yeah. I think if they're telling you they know, either they've been doing this for 40 years and they just know because they're older and if Coach Saban said something when he was coaching, he probably meant it. But I think everybody else, they're saying it to sound cool in the media or to push a narrative or to send a message to their team. Honestly, I don't think any of us know. The ones I'm talking to don't know. We have a really tight coaching community, and we all talk because we're, talking about schedules and how do you do this and how do you do that, blah, 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 blah. And some of us are just friends away from football. And I think the ones I've talked to were all like, well, I think we have this. I think we have that. I think this guy's a good player. I think this scheme is right, but we won't know until the live bullets. And, one of the facts of football, and you two know this because you've played with really good players, you've been around a long time, is there are players that rise up on game day and there are players that shrink. And you don't know until you have game day experience with them.
When you look at week one in particular, though, do you feel do you feel like the need to simplify, not because of your opponent, but more to just let the guys play fast and maybe not put too much on their plate? I know in the past you've talked about, man, we have so much on our plate offensively that maybe it can be a little bit intoxicating as a play caller because you want to have all those options. But at the same time, you want your players to just feel super comfortable with what you're doing, especially early in the season. So do you feel the need in week one to kind of play a little more vanilla to see what guys can do in live action?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the mistakes I've made the first 2 years is, you're so excited about all the things you've been able to do in the offseason and all the cool new wrinkles and blah, 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 that you forget that these are, they're dealing with emotions that we learned over time as players to regulate. And sometimes they can't regulate them early in the year. And the more you put on them from an XO standpoint, compounds the mistakes. So it's probably the smallest call sheet we've had, both sides of the ball in my time here. It's a smaller call sheet offensively than I had sometimes in high school for that exact reason. We want to play fast. We've focused in on the things we've done best in camp. We don't have a lot of beaters. It's not stuff to go attack things that Alabama State does that may have flaws. And I don't care if they're listening. We want to go out there and play hard, play fast, be simple, be decisive, and play our best ball.
Trent Dilfer joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. He's with us weekly, previewing his team, giving us his thoughts on last week's games. He'll be with us at this time every week heading into the season. We love talking football with him. You brought up something that Greg and I discussed yesterday, and that is starting fast. We hear so many coaches and even some players talk about we got to start fast. We got to get out there and start fast. Got to get off to a fast start. What do you do from a coaching perspective to help ensure that? I think we know some of the advantages of it, and we know some of the whys. But what can you do with your guys to help ensure that that actually takes place?
Well, what is it? So this used to drive me nuts as a player. We got to start fast. We got to play at the lead. Our defense plays better with the lead. And I'm like, well, what if we don't? What if we get a crappy holding call on 2nd and 4? Now we're 2nd and 14. We're behind the sticks and we have to punt. Did we just lose the game? I hate that mentality. I think starting fast is starting decisively, starting clear-minded. The teams I was on that played great, it wasn't about we have to go score a touchdown here or we have to get a 3 and out. It's like we have to go see it, feel it, let it rip, play decisively, make adjustments, handle the emotions of the first part of the early in the game because emotions is always high. And I've talked to a lot of great coaches about this one, and they agree. It's not a score, it's not a production, it's a mentality. And because you're playing a long game, and you can't all of a sudden say one thing. It's like goal setting, right? When people set these long-term goals, and then they're not getting to them, and they feel like failures, and they quit. New Year's, everybody wants to lose 15 pounds. What if you're not? What if you don't lose the first 2 pounds? Are you going to quit? No, there's a mentality, there's an approach that's going to help you reach your long-term goal. And that's something we've talked a lot about, is being process-oriented instead of results-oriented. Let the results take care of itself if our process is great, and we'll respond better to the ebbs and flows of games if we take that approach.
How would you assess the level of complexity that we now see in college football on trying to figure out what the opponent's personnel looks like? I was talking to Cole this morning, and even your own personnel, I guess I might add. I was talking to Cole this morning. I'm sitting there watching Miami. I'm doing the Miami-Notre Dame game on Sunday, Coach, and I'm sitting there, and not single guy on Miami's 2 deep at wide receiver caught more than 6 passes last year on Miami's roster. And I'm sitting there trying to watch these guys. I'm like, I have no idea what they're going to do, which gives me anxiety as an analyst in the booth. I can't imagine what it's like from a coach's perspective where your job is to go out and win the game. How much more challenging is it today to identify what they might do to you based on personnel than it was in the past?
We've had a lot of conversations about this, and I just finally laid down the hammer and said we're not going to be consumed with the what-ifs and chasing ghosts. Us versus us. Us versus us. Let's do our things better. If they come out and do something we've never seen them do and they have some player that we didn't know about, well, if we're locked in, if we have answers within our systems, we adjust. But we're not going to go out there and try to guess what they're going to do. It'll torture you. I mean, I started going down the rabbit hole of watching all the players off PFF or junior college film or their high school film because they've been at Alabama State for 2 years but haven't played. And all of a sudden, I mean, I did this for about 3-4 hours. I'm realizing, well, that's 3-4 hours I took away from getting us better. And I just can't do that. I don't think we can do that. Other people may have a different philosophy, but we're solely focused on us.
And I love that. And I think that's a big portion of kind of where it has to be right now, specifically with some of those unknowns, uncertainties, and how you're going to play this thing out. What is it going to take for you guys to get this win in this opener? I heard your press conference 2 days ago. Very respectful towards your opponent you're going to see, but what has to take place from your group on each side of the ball to get that good start you mentioned, and then to find out a way to pull that W out tomorrow night?
Well, one of the big core values we've had in this group, and something we've talked relentlessly about, is not letting our feelings dictate our actions. So responding instead of reacting. We've had a program for 2 years that's reacted, overly emotional, myself included, and that just has to end. So we put a stake in the ground and said our response mechanism is going to determine our success. So we have to respond to bad calls. We have to respond to them making plays. We have to respond to us doing some knucklehead thing. Like, we can't let one play, good or bad, put us on an emotional roller coaster. So I would look for, hopefully, what I'm looking for is how we play the game, the temperament for which we play it in. Something great happens, great. We celebrate, move on. Something bad happens, okay, slap your thigh, move on. If we can do that again and again and again and again and again, we feel like we can be a pretty solid football team.
Coach, we appreciate the time. Fun conversation. It's going to be every week with you. We love talking football, and good luck tomorrow night.
Thanks, guys. Have a great weekend.
Trent Dilfer, UAB head football coach, joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline. If you're in town, get out to Protective tomorrow night. Go watch that UAB game. He joked in his press conference, they're going to have as many fans as we are. Don't let that happen. I know it's another in-state team, but we don't want that to happen here in UAB's home stadium. So get out there, watch some good football, watch it live. Why not? If the weather feels anything like it's going to today, it's going to be an incredible night to be out there and watch a little bit of football. So a lot more to get to over the course of the show today. Chris Nee's going to tell us about Florida State, what's been happening with their camp at 8:20. Larry Williamson at 9 on Clemson and their camp as they head into this matchup with LSU, which I want to spend a little bit of time on discussing here soon. But Jox 94.5 and Total Sports Travel are giving you the chance to see Auburn take on Oklahoma live in Norman. One lucky winner will score a trip for two. That's round-trip airfare, 2-night stay at the National Hotel in Oklahoma City, 2 tickets to watch the Tigers and Sooners, and transportation to and from the stadium. Text the keyword Tigers to 205-834-9450 to enter now. Tigers to 205-834-9450 to enter today. Don't miss your shot at the ultimate game day experience, courtesy Total Sports Travel and your home for college football, Jox 94.5. Contest rules at joxfm.com. When we come back, we'll start to get into a few of those bigger games this weekend next on Jox. All right, welcome back. Yeah, McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 7:47 Wednesday, August 27th, right here on Jox as we begin to move into some of the games from this weekend. You're going to be on a big one, Greg, with Notre Dame, Miami. Is your attention going in a different direction with maybe the game that has more of your intrigue or game that you feel like we're going to learn more from than maybe what it was a month ago, 2 months ago, talking about some of these week one matchups? Like, I'll tell you this. Like, I was on with
the game under the radar, you think?
Well, no, but I was on with the Infant Simmons last night, and he kind of played Super Sofa Game of the Week with me. He's like, if you could go to one of these games, you could be there in person, and you could only watch one week one game, which one would it be? And I answered Auburn Baylor.
Yeah.
I said a couple of reasons. One, I think these two teams' ceilings are higher than a lot of people believe, and I need to see in person, do I think they have a chance to reach those ceilings? Are they closer than maybe I believe? And some of the questions I have about them are bigger than the questions I have about other teams, like Texas offensive line. Yeah, that's a big question, but Texas can lose Ohio State and still be okay. We know what that narrative is going to be if Auburn loses this game. And then, too, I think, similar to what you mentioned with Baylor last year, if they lose, like Baylor disappeared when they lost early last year.
Correct.
That could happen again this year, and they could still end up being a really good football team. Like Miami and Notre Dame, I feel like I got a pretty good idea how that game's going to go and what the strengths of those teams are and what they're going to lean on. Now, am I intrigued in what Carson Beck's going to do with a new group of receivers and a new offense? Yeah, sure. But I feel like the uncertainties are going to be easier to sort of pinpoint than with two wild cards in Auburn and Baylor, that I need to see for myself exactly what those teams are going to look like. So I actually think my intrigue in that game has heightened because there are questions that I don't know if we're ever going to definitively get the answers, and I need to start figuring them out a little bit. The other ones, like LSU Clemson, I don't think LSU's offensive line is going to look good. It's a really good D-line they're going to face too. So I'm not going to flip out if that's the case. Do I want to see how the LSU secondary operates with a bunch of new bodies? Yeah. Is Klubnik taking another step? Is that offensive line going to be as good as people were saying? Clemson running back situation, like those are some of the things, but I don't feel like I need to be there, see it, till I get a great feel of that. So I'm just interested from your standpoint, is there another game that's sort of maybe rising where you're like, man, I really need to see this one to kind of get an idea of what's going on and what it's going to look like?
Yeah, I mean, I think the Auburn-Baylor game, we've been saying it all off season. It has nothing to do with the fact that we're broadcasting from Birmingham, Alabama. I really believe it's one of the more intriguing games in week one because not enough people know about what Baylor's capable of. Not enough people know that Sawyer Robertson, their quarterback, is the leading returning quarterback in the country as far as QBR is concerned. Not a lot of people realize he threw for over 3,000 yards last year. Not a lot of people realize that that Baylor returns a 1,000-yard back in a veteran offensive line. Not a lot of people know about what Baylor is. And this will be a remarkably hostile environment. That's a really good stadium that can ramp it up pretty good. So I think it's a tremendously intriguing game for Auburn, who really is, let's just call it what it is. It's a must-win. I mean, do you not find this to be a must? You look at Auburn's schedule, the looming challenges of an SEC slate. You start the season 0-1, it's going to get hot early. And I think it's vitally important that Auburn comes out and wins this game. And conversely, on the other side, the Big 12 is trying to prove that it belongs, that it deserves no backseat to the other Power Fours. And this could be huge for them to get a win right now against a team in the SEC that's considered by many to be a bit of a sleeper in the league. So I just think this game has tremendous intrigue for so many reasons.
No, and it's if you put it up there with some of these other games that with SEC teams specifically that I'm referencing that appear to be losable. Now, I think Alabama would suffer a similar consequence that Auburn would if you're talking about what would the perception be going into the next week. I think it'd be pretty ugly for Alabama if they lose this game. And I realize the Florida State brand and some of the coaches and some of the players that have come in, but I think the perception is Alabama should handle this game.
Yes.
It's a massive matchup, but Bama should handle this one. And I think it would be traumatic for a lot of people going into that next week of their viewpoint of that team. LSU loses. Now, people are going to point to Brian Kelly and what has happened in recent memory, and they can't win their openers, and how bad that is. He can't get teams ready early. All those narratives are going to start.
Yeah.
But as you brought up, Auburn's different, and right now Auburn is a bit of low-hanging fruit for a lot of people. They lose this game, it's going to go way negative in a big hurry for a lot of folks. And that can be difficult for a team, for individuals, for a staff, maybe a program even to just overcome at that point in the season. It's a lot to block out and move past. So, like I look at Nebraska-Cincinnati, I think it'd be very similar there. Is that as losable of a game? Probably not. But Nebraska goes and loses that game at Arrowhead, there's going to be a lot of people that are going big negative the next week.
Be careful.
That's one that could sort of
be careful.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I think that one goes to hell in a handbasket. Tennessee, I think, doesn't go as negative as quickly because you're going to lean on the fact that your Superman quarterback left the program, which shook a lot of players, which was very difficult to overcome, which provided a little bit of lack of focus. And, hey, we got to weather the storm this year, and then next year it's going to be right back where Josh has had it. Don't worry about it. We're going to be good. Like, and that's totally different than it was 3, 5, 7 years ago, where if Tennessee loses that game, I mean, it's literally burned the establishment down.
Yeah.
And I don't think it is that if they drop that game this year. I don't. So I think if you look at where these teams are, that heightens my antenna even more on this Auburn-Baylor game. Because, yeah, it's not going to be that for Baylor per se, but if Auburn drops it, we all know what the calls are going to be like on Monday if we come in here and they lose that game. We know. We know exactly what it's going to sound like. And I think it makes it that much more important because whether we talk to Trent Dilfer about getting off to a fast start or we listen to Steve Sarkisian about his team starting fast, that's the defending national champions in the morning, by the way, at their place.
Yes.
Texas ain't done. They lose that game. They're just not.
Correct.
With that young of a roster and that amount of time to be able to bounce back. Texas lose that game, what are they ranked going into the next week?
Oh, gosh.
11 at worst?
Yeah, I mean, they're
12 at worst?
They're still in good shape.
You're fine. You got plenty of games to be able to make it up. You have plenty of guys that can sort of find their way throughout the course of the year.
But in fairness, we did not see a lot of 3-loss teams in the playoffs last year. We saw one.
But you and I both think there'll be multiple in this year.
I do. I have a hard time envisioning a scenario this season where we are not in a – when you really look at it, I just don't see how there aren't 2 or 3 teams that are, I don't know, I just have a hard time seeing they're not 2 or 3
undefeated,
teams.
1 loss. That's just gonna be rare.
I just think there's
rare.
too many this year. There's too many teams with question marks. There's too many teams with challenges. I just have a hard time envisioning a scenario where there's everyone's 1 or 2 losses. I just don't see it. I keep trying to, and I just don't.
Yeah. I'll go to Mercedes-Benz Stadium Sunday, the lead into your game. I don't think that the vibes are super negative in Columbia if they were to drop that game. I think the expectation is that they win it. I think the expectation is that they push for a playoff spot, but I don't think that, Gamecock fans are walking around saying fire Shane if they drop that one because they saw how last year they got off to a slow start. They can still pull it together, and they got plenty of time left and a lot of big games on the schedule. I guess what I'm saying is it feels like it's becoming apparent that these bigger week 1 matchups, Auburn's is clearly the most important. When you're talking about needing a win, have to win, must win, however you want to state it, whatever verbiage you want to use around it, Auburn's got the most important one, in my opinion.
I don't disagree.
John, would you agree with that?
Yeah, overall, yes, I do think it's that one, yeah.
800-239-9569 if you want to get in. 800-239-WJOX. Who does have the most on the line just in week 1 of SEC teams taking the field this weekend? Chris Nee talks Florida State with us next hour. Larry Williamson still talks Clemson at 9. More college football next on Jox. Spent a lot of last segment discussing Auburn and Baylor and what that's going to look like, what that's going to mean. I saw some comments from Dave Aranda yesterday, Greg, on stopping the run and how critical that's going to be for his team. Jackson Arnold yesterday meeting with the media, talking about that Baylor defense and what he thinks it may look like, what he thinks it may bring to the table.
They're a big simulated zone pressure team, and being able to study that in the field and study what parts of the field that we can attack and take advantage of has been big for us in our film study. And we come out here in the practice field, going out, executing our calls, and making sure we're running the right routes at the right depths and getting in the windows that we need to get in.
So that's Jackson Arnold just on kind of what he is anticipating from this Baylor defense. And when you look at Auburn in this game, G-Mac, from an offensive standpoint, how does it need to start and what has to be omnipresent for the entire game for Hugh Freeze and his group to be able to find a win in Waco?
I think they got to run the football. He just talked about it right there. I mean, if you look at what has traditionally been for Dave Aranda, he does a great job. And you look at RPOs, which is what Auburn relies heavily on. They have a target defender. Every RPO has kind of a target defender. Like, all right, there's your read guy.
Conflict defender.
Conflict defender. Okay. So whatever you're trying to put one guy in particular into conflict. Dave Aranda does a really good job of making sure, and now it's not always, you're not going to bat 1,000. It's impossible to, but he does a really good job of making it difficult on the opposing quarterback to determine which defender is that conflict defender. That's what I find really interesting about this, is that if for whatever reason that conflict defender becomes challenging to assess, then you're in trouble. But if Auburn can run the football, that might force Dave Aranda to abandon ship a little bit and not do as many of those simulated pressures that he's become known for. Simulated pressures are blitzing without really blitzing. You're only bringing 4 guys, but one of those 4 is a linebacker, and one of the guys dropping is a defensive end. Like, your traditional defensive line doesn't always play traditional defensive line spots. That's, I think, a very, very difficult part about being RPO heavy, having to make post-snap decisions when Dave Aranda does as much to confuse and cloud what they're trying to do defensively.
Totally fair. And you and I have mentioned this before. The run game just settles everything down. It makes everything more simple to accomplish, to get to maintain, all of it. Where are you on tempo for Auburn in this game? Should not, pick and choose?
I think Auburn has an advantage from a depth standpoint. So I don't hate tempo. I also think in week 1, doesn't matter what you've done physically all off season, I think it's hard to get to the point to where you can be in game shape.
Isn't it amazing how that works?
I mean, you can run 110s. It's just different.
With 300-yard shuttle, you could have the best time ever. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't.
Which, by the way, I had, just so you know, I had a couple guys Sunday when I was kind of making fun of the kickers and they were like, "You couldn't have hung with this conditioning this offseason." And I said, "Really? Tell me the conditioning test."
Yeah.
And the response was, "What do you mean conditioning test?" I was like, "Then I don't want to hear it anymore." If you guys didn't have a timed run that you had to make, which was under the majority of what you did the entire summer, don't tell me how hard your conditioning was. I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear it.
You're over it, huh?
Don't need it. Don't tell me how tough you had it when you did not have to go out there and be threatened with a time that if you didn't make it, you were going to have to do that again. And, the only times you can come out here and do this today are 11:30, 1, and 1:30 or 2, and they water the field down before you do it. Just get a little extra humidity creeping up from that grass.
Moss.
Just a little.
Just a little moss.
Just a little. Just make that breathability a little more intense.
Just a little bit.
Just a smidge. We didn't have a timed conditioning test. All right, then stop. Just quit talking about how hard you guys had it. It's amazing. I'll try to explain this to people. It doesn't. You could crush your 110s. You could crush your 300-yard shuttle. It doesn't. Those first few snaps in a game, early in the season.
Different.
I mean, high school, middle school, college, it didn't matter. I just always remember being like, did we do anything? What is happening? Every time. I just sucking wind after 3 plays. Like, I ran every one of them. And you're just dead. Dead! So I agree with you. I think because of that, you have to be very careful with your tempo. Because if you try to go out there and just slam your foot on the gas and guys are reacting that way, which inherently I think most are, just because that intensity is never going to match what it is in a game, you got to be careful with that.
Yep.
Because you can gas yourself out too. Like, yeah, your opponent might not have the depth, but you can put yourself in a corner of, we can't breathe, coach. Sorry, legs aren't working. You got to be really careful with that. But I do think it's something selectively that Auburn can use and may have at their disposal to be able to go out there and get a win. So if it comes down to a lot of these bigger players in these bigger games, who steps up, who makes plays. I want to get to a couple of those later this hour. Chris Nee is going to be with us in about 14 minutes to talk Florida State and what they're going to do. I have some and or some ifs, maybes with that Bama-Florida State game we're going to talk about in our next hour. You can chime in on any of these games as we begin to roll into some game previews. Of course, we'll go Max Ball Friday. Y'all know what we do here. That's what it is. That's just kind of how we operate.
You love it.
I do love it. And I know you love Bromberg's.
I do. Bromberg's been great. Been going there for years and years and years, and will continue to for the foreseeable future because of the experience I have all the time. The experience is just off the charts good. You'll understand what I'm talking about when you walk in the door. The sales staff's knowledge, their ability to point you in the right direction, their ability to help you out when you don't really know what to get, when you have a budget that you're trying to stay within, they can give you all the different options that fit within that budget, and the way they continue to enhance the experience when you walk in the door. I'm always so grateful to the wonderful people at Bromberg's because of that experience. That's why I will never, ever shop anywhere else, and why I will continue to go there for as long as I'm around. And it's buying generational items, items that will be potentially in your family for several generations. These are important purchases, and you don't want to mess around. So I go with the company that's been around for nearly 200 years. I'd go see them in Mountain Brook Village, where they are renovating the store to enhance your experience. You can go see them at the Summit. You can also check them out online at brombergs.com.
All right, let's go to Jason in Pelham. He wants to talk college football games coming up this weekend. Jason, what's on your mind today? Jason. Got it. You think that's the way it's going to go?
I like how confident he is.
Bringing the bold takes this morning.
Sometimes
don't hold back.
Sometimes you just got to send it.
Just drop an elbow on everybody. Let them know. Let them know your thoughts there. I appreciate the gusto here early in the morning. He was going to talk Garrett Nussmeier.
Yeah.
And I think I have this internal question on LSU going into this weekend of offensively, is Garrett Nussmeier more important, or not including the wide receivers, because we know what they're capable of.
Right.
But is the rest of it on that side of the ball more important? Which has to be better, Nuss or the combo of offensive line, offensive coordinator, running backs? I might even throw tight ends in that group as well, because I think Mason Taylor really flew under the radar last year with just the things that he provided for that team and how good he was.
Yeah, you got a tight end that can stretch the field.
Well, think about the big catches too, late in games.
Say all you got to say. I mean, you got a tight end that can stretch the field. But there's literally nothing else that needs to be said.
But if I asked you that question, if you're an LSU fan, and I could guarantee you one, the O-line, the play calling, the running backs, the tight end will play better, or Garrett Nussmeier will play better, which would you want?
I would say it'd be more beneficial for the offensive line to win than Garrett Nussmeier to go off.
I think I'll be with you there. And for your play caller to say, it's okay if we hand the ball off a couple times in this game. We will allow you to do that. Here, inside zone. Power. Run it. To allow that to take place, I think is obviously going to give you different things, different advantages. So I think I would go with you on that one. And that's kind of where I would be on it. But, hey, it's different people want different things. Some people think quarterbacks need to go out there and win your games. When you have a quarterback to that level, that he needs to go out there and dominate, and that's the way it needs to go.
A quarterback can win you games. But the funny thing is, everyone's like, oh, quarterback can elevate the quarterback, everybody else. Yes, they can for sure. But the quarterback is also heavily reliant on everybody else doing their job.
Mm-hmm.
Elite quarterback play elevates everybody, but it's hard to be elite when people aren't doing their job around you. I don't care what anybody says.
Yep.
Unless you're Lamar Jackson. In which case, Garrett Nussmeier has underwent a significant change in skill set to be able to keep plays alive and extend plays and run and willingness to run, unless he has completely and dramatically changed who he is in the last 9 months. I don't envision him becoming anything like Lamar Jackson. The other thing I'd say about him is I'm nervous about the knee. I'll be honest with you, I'm nervous about the knee. I'm nervous about him being a little banged up, not at 100%. If he's not at 100%, do they have enough beyond him to go out and win the game?
Which maybe answers the question of the other parts need to be better necessarily than him right now. Because if those other parts aren't there, and because you said it when that conversation began of, I don't care if it's 30% dinged, 80% dinged, not dinged, all the way dinged. We have to think about that now. That has to be a concern now. I'm worried about it.
Should be.
Because we won't really know until we see it. So I think you have to at least look at it and say, if that thing's not right, what does that do to that offense? What does that do to that football team? All right, a couple folks tweeting into the show. At Mac and Cube, you can be a part of the show there. 800-239-9569 to get on the Higginbotham hotline. Text in 205-834-9450. Watch us live on YouTube every day. Search Jox 945. Jolly tweets in, I don't know that if Auburn loses, it's the end. But based on Free's criticism early in the summer, golf/recruiting, they would definitely be digging a hole and making it that much harder. Auburn definitely needs the moral victory for morale. That's kind of down the road of where we were heading earlier. Would you agree? That's from an important standpoint, that one's critical for them. And then two people going to the same game, which we haven't spent a lot of time on yet. Obviously, Friday we'll dive into it to an extreme. Royal Payne tweets, I think the South Carolina-Virginia Tech game is going to be a lot more interesting than people think. South Carolina starts slow often, and they have new pieces. Virginia Tech still has a hot, cold quarterback and can step up at times, such as the Miami game. And then Hunter Herlong tweets in, thoughts on Virginia Tech versus South Carolina. I think a lot of what Royal Payne said there feels accurate. Kyron Jones has big playability. Kyron Jones has the ability to also give you the ball back.
Yep.
And hurt his team as much as he's helping his team. You've added some new wide receiver prowess. You got a new running back coming in, which you were super solid at running back last year. That's going to be a little bit different. Majority of the offensive line in place, but it's a team that just kind of couldn't get out of their own way at times last year.
Yep.
And this is one to me, Greg, that feels like one of two things happen. Either the team that plays the cleanest football and it's a competitive game wins, therefore that 1-2 turnovers or a missed field goal here becomes massive, or Dylan Stewart and Lenore Sellers just take over and there's not much that Virginia Tech can do about it.
Yeah, I think that's the question. But I think Virginia Tech is very dangerous. I'm not suggesting that they're going to go and just run it down their throat, but you got a new defensive personnel kind of across the board going against a group that has a dynamic quarterback that did not live up to expectations last year. I think it's a game that South Carolina needs to be very, very careful with. I really, really think that Virginia Tech is a team that you don't really want to mess around with.
I'm with you. And I like what Virginia Tech went and got in Kyle Altuner at center from West Virginia. I think he ups the ante on physicality in the middle of that offensive line just a little bit more, has experience. And then you go get wide receiver and Cam Selden from Tennessee. You go get a Donovan Green at wide receiver from Wake, 23 for 383 touchdowns last year. So has real experience in college football. So Virginia Tech now has options on the offensive line. They went and got some bodies that have played a lot of college football. That'll help the depth there. I'm most interested in what Virginia Tech wants to be offensively in this game. Are you going to test that new D-line and say, all right, those three big D tackles are gone. We're going to go right at the middle. Monkel Goodwine and some of those guys that have been around for a while, can they be the same? Can they be similar? Do they shut that down early, put the game in Kyron Jones' hands, and then allow some of your pass rushers to tee off? And not just Stewart, but Byron Thomas has been there. We think he can get after the quarterback a little bit. And they'll have a plan to be able to draw some things up, devise ways to get Dylan Stewart one-on-one. Don't be surprised if Dylan Stewart lines up all over the place, by the way. I don't think he's just going to be, okay, I'm off right tackle, left tackle. Let's go get it off the edge. I think they're going to be creative with what he does. He's too good and too valuable. not to find ways to free him up and get him some one-on-ones. But that's to me sort of the way that one goes. It's either a turnover game, sloppy game, and whoever makes the least mistakes probably wins, or I think South Carolina's takeover players end up stepping up and taking over, and there's just not a lot Virginia Tech can do about it. But I am with you on, I mean, listen, it's kind of the theme here. Some Auburn fans overlooking Baylor. Be careful. Tennessee, be very careful. South Carolina, be careful. These are not going to be the roll the ball out there, bigger, badder guy, bigger, badder brand goes out there and wins just because of who you are. I just don't see that taking place that way. So we'll move on to Bama, Florida State. Chris Nee going to join us to discuss the Florida State side of things when we come back. Before we do that and move on to that game, if you're looking to move out of your house, Greg, who do you call?
That'd be Crocker Moving Services. It's a local company owned by an Iraq War veteran, Eric Crocker. Crocker believes in hiring movers you can trust to complete full background checks and run drug tests on every single employee. These are good guys, and you can trust them in your home. Whether it's your whole home back to move, your company headquarters moved across country, or you just want them to come rearrange your living room, these guys got you covered. They also do deliveries for furniture that you purchase and need to get to your home. So call visit them online today for a free quote. The website's crockermovingservices.com. That's crockermovingservices.com. Support your veterans by choosing Crocker Moving Services for your next move.
Who's been stepping up in Florida State camp? What players out there does Bama need to be on alert for? We'll ask Chris Nee, who covers the Seminoles, right after this on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 8:21, Wednesday, August 27th, right here on Jox, as we get you set for kickoff of week one. Coming up tomorrow night, actually. A lot of good Thursday night games, a lot of interesting Friday night games. We're going to have plenty of time to discuss. We're going to go back towards Alabama and Florida State in just a moment, visit with Chris Nee. But first, don't forget, if you miss any interviews, you miss any segments, including Greg having his neck needled on the show yesterday, dry needled, you can go to joxfm.com, get the Jox app, just search Jox945 in your podcast, your app store. That'll take you to the YouTube. That'll give you podcast. You can listen live. Also tell your home smart speaker to enable the Jox skill.
Bill said Buick GMC is the GMC Dealer of the Year, the national champion of GMC dealers. You'll understand why when you go and look at what they have on the lot. It's off the charts good. You can get you deals that you won't find anywhere else, like a Buick Encore GX, which is a sporty, economical SUV. There's a reason why they keep people coming back, because you're getting $5,000 off a car that cost $29,000. You can get it for under $25,000. That's a deal that you just won't find anywhere else. You can also go and get a GMC Sierra 1500 SLT, $14,000 off the sticker. 67 is what you pay elsewhere. You pay $53 at Bill Smith. The deals like that just continue to elevate the experience every single time you walk in the door. They're the very best, and you'll be glad that you shopped at Bill Smith. That's why 75% of their business repeat customers. That's why they've won 8 national championships as the GMC Dealer of the Year. So go and take the short drive to Coleman. You'll be glad you did. I-65, exit 310, Highway 31. You can also shop online, have it delivered right to your driveway at BillSmithBuickGMC.com.
You can follow Chris Nee on Twitter at CNEE247 and find his work on the 247 network covering the Florida State Seminoles. Chris, I'm interested most, and I want to know if you have any clearer picture of what the offensive style is going to be, because a lot of people just think, oh, Norvell and Gus work together. These are two very different offenses. What is the mesh of those two going to look like in your mind when they face off against Alabama this weekend?
I'm expecting it to be very Gus-centric, very much what Malzahn has done, especially in recent years at a place like UCF, maybe some of what he did with Plumlee, with Castellanos, but I think a little bit more passer-friendly than maybe it was with Plumlee.
All right, so if it goes that direction just a little bit more, what kind of a game are you anticipating from Thomas Castellanos against Alabama and his role? What do you anticipate that looking like?
I think FSU is going to have to lean heavily on his legs, try to create some big bust plays, essentially Sandlot type of plays where they can extend it. But that also comes down to pressure, reducing pressure. FSU is rolling out there with 5 new offensive linemen, 4 of whom are new to the program. All are very experienced transfers. But you're going to see that group trying to play together for the first time ever. And, you know, as you guys know, with an O-line, a lot of it's nuance, understanding, a comfort with the guy beside you, knowing how they operate in this moment, this situation. And that's all going to be new. And you're facing arguably one of the best defenses in the country, and certainly one of the best defensive front sevens in Alabama, who's going to create a great deal of pressure. So for FSU to really have a chance in this game offensively, I think it's going to have to be Castellanos being a bit of the magician that we've seen him be at times, especially like 2023 version of him at Boston College.
When you look at Castellanos, by all accounts, the fall camp was a little underwhelming. I'm hoping that it is because Florida State's better defensively for their sake, but I'm also a little concerned looking back at Castellanos over the years and his inconsistency throwing the football. So if they can't run it as well as they hope, is he a guy that's capable of kind of throwing him out of a jam?
I don't think so personally. I think Tommy is very much who we think he is. I mean, he's got 500-plus pass reps in college. You are allowed to get better, but I don't think he's going to take some big leap as a passer. He's not the most accurate pushing it down the field. The thing with him is more so, and especially in the Gus Malzahn offense, is hitting on the quick stuff early on to put yourself in favorable downs where you have an attempt at a shot play because you're playing in a one-on-one situation. FSU is routinely throughout the preseason, both players and coaches talked about having to win one-on-ones in this game, and I think the only way the passing attack works is if they're in favorable situations where they do have those one-on-ones, and that comes down to guys like a Deuce Robinson or Squirrel White or a freshman Javon Boggs at wide receiver really going and making the big play, outdoing very highly talented defensive backs for Alabama. And I just think that's a big ask. I think FSU would be cooked if they get into a game where they have to be pass happy with Tommy Castellanos.
We're hearing good things about Bama's D-line. We think there's a chance, we're not saying it's definitive, a chance that group could excel and be really solid. What are you hearing about the Florida State offensive line so far through camp?
So the 5 that they expect to rely upon has been consistently the same 5, and that's really been true since December, January, when they brought 4 of those guys in. The group from left to right is going to be Gunnar Hansen, transfer from Vanderbilt, Richie Leonard, who's returning to FSU for a second year after coming in from Florida, Luke Pettibon, an all-ACC type caliber center from Wake Forest, Adrian Medley, who came along with Gus from UCF at right guard, and then right tackle was Micah Pettis, who came in from Ole Miss. In that group, they love Pettibon. He's sort of like the guy for them. He's an excellent leader. He's a very mature kid. He's a football kid. They love him. You listen to Herb Hand, offensive line coach for Florida State, talk about him, and he just gushes about him in that sense. I think the concern with that group more than anything, especially because they didn't really get much of a spring together because of injuries among the group, is just sort of meshing, like handling it when Bama's throwing something exotic or awkward at you or something you did not prepare for in film or in scout. How is that group going to handle it when it's 5 guys that have never, ever played beside one another in this element? I think that group will get better as the year goes on and be a strength potentially by the end of the year. But I think out of the gate against an Alabama defensive front that's able to win so many one-on-ones, like a guy like LT Overton just creating havoc, I think it's a tall task and it's going to be difficult for them.
What about the you kind of referenced already, but the defense for Florida State? Tony White comes over, implements a different style, going with a 3-3-5 from Nebraska. He had a top 20 unit last year at Nebraska. I think he did a really nice job. He decides to leave. One, I was amazed that Florida State was able to woo him after a 2-10. But I also am really curious to see what this group might look like across the board. So what will be the strengths of this Florida State defense?
Florida State's defense will go as their defensive line, their defensive front goes, and that's led by James Williams, who came over with Tony from Nebraska, Darrell Jackson, who returned to FSU after going in the NFL draft, and Jason Jenkins, who came in from Tennessee. Jenkins just got back a couple weeks ago from an injury that limited him throughout the preseason and spring, so obviously playing a little bit of catch-up, but he's a guy that they expect to be a central piece. If that group is able to do things up front, I think Tony White is a very talented football coach who's very good at drawing up things in that scheme, that Rocky Long 3-3-5, that really throws teams for loops. But I think it all has to be set up by the front guys doing their job. Behind those guys, I think Jeremiah Wilson, who's now going by Jerry Wilson, he's a transfer in from Houston, who is originally from Central Florida. He's sort of your cornerback 1, and he very much helped set that group up in that secondary in the sense of changing the pecking order and giving you a guy who seemed kind of like a bona fide dude. Very talented kid, very good at being around the ball. He's been extremely enjoyable to hear about the competition between him and Deuce Robinson at wide receiver for FSU throughout the preseason. And their linebacker group, I wouldn't describe as being like a bona fide like strength, like amazing, but I do think it's one of the better linebacker groups we've had in Tallahassee in the last several years. That group is sort of led at Jack by Omar Graham, who's returning a bit to his high school element of being more a downhill pass rusher. And in this scheme, I think that plays to his strength. It's something he didn't really get to do in prior years as he played for Adam Fuller and Randy Shannon, that linebacker coach. And then they brought in Elijah Herring, who began his career at Tennessee, struggled a little bit with the Volunteers, went to Memphis and was very good. They're going to use him as a Mike at FSU. I think he's going to be a tackle collector for them. And then Justin Pryor, who's a returning piece for them, is the third backer in that group. And I think they feel confident that that group is sound. But for FSU's defense to be good, it comes down to James Williams, Darrell Jackson, Jason Jenkins being dudes up front for them. And that's a little to be determined, especially with Jenkins coming off the injury so late.
Chris Nee joining us on the Higginbotham Hotline talking Florida State as they're going to take on Alabama this weekend. Staying on defense, the mindset of what to attack, potentially try to take away, be it going after Ty Simpson, the Alabama rushing attack, but yet dealing with this receiver core. Where would you try to place that balance heading in on what you've heard, the information you've gathered through fall camp?
I think the goal is to limit their ability to run it and put the game on Ty Simpson's shoulders as a passer, which is, a big task because the talent he has to distribute it to is extremely good. But I think the goal is you just want to make Ty Simpson basically in his first true bona fide start on the road have to be the guy. And I think that's the goal. And that comes down to, one, just being good against the run, getting yourself in favorable downs and situations. And then two, winning up front, putting pressure upon him, not allowing him to have a clean pocket. Because if he has 4 or 5 seconds with the talent that he has to distribute the ball to as a passer, they're going to get the better of you. But I think the goal ultimately is to make Ty Simpson uncomfortable on the day. But you got to stop the run to allow that to be a thing you can do. You're basically rewarded by getting yourself in favorable downs, but that comes to stopping the run out of the gate.
There we go. Chris, great stuff. Thanks for getting us tuned in on this Florida State football team, what's happened through camp, getting set for kickoff against Alabama. Look forward to catching up with you again soon.
All right, guys. Take it easy.
There you go. Chris Nee of the 24/7 Sports Network at CNEE 247. You can follow him on Twitter. So if you were to try to decipher where the Seminoles try to attack, what they try to take away, at least initially, Greg, with that receiver core out there, it's just kind of hard for me to imagine that you're stacking the box saying we're not going to let you run the football.
Yeah.
And I know that we've talked about with Ryan Grubb being back that Alabama could become more of that, wants to do that. But I don't know if that's where your emphasis can be based on Bernard, Williams, Horton, and others that can hurt you down the field.
I fully expect Alabama to come out and to try to run the ball, but probably acknowledge that Florida State's going to completely sell it against the run. Like, they're going to sell it. You can't make the make the inexperienced quarterback beat you.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be Florida State's plan, no?
Yeah, I would think.
I mean, and they're probably looking at like old Jaden Roberts might not go. They're down a right guard potentially. Whereas we know that Jaden Roberts might not start the season at all because of the quality of depth Bama has at guard. Still, from Florida State's standpoint, they might be thinking, all right, they're down a guard. They have an inexperienced quarterback. They got really good weapons on the outside, but I still would rather take away the run before I take away the pass.
Yeah.
Even though my opinion, this team is a very dangerous passing attack. I think the weapons that Bama has, probably their best attribute. So I'll be curious. Like, what does Florida State decide to do? Did they say, we're going to defend Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, and Isaiah Horton? Those guys aren't going to get behind us. Or did they say, we're going to sell it against the run. We'll take our chances against an inexperienced quarterback.
Right. I think it's super intriguing to see kind of which direction that they go and how they try to play that off. We'll hear a little bit from Kalen DeBoer on where he thinks it's going to be, how it's going to go. Kane Womack, you'll hear from him as well. And we get to a little bit of either or, over-under, so to speak, on individual, team, position, group performances in some of these big matchups next right here on Jox. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 8:38, Wednesday, August 27th, right here on Jox. Appreciate you tuning in. 800-239-9569. If you want to be a part of the show, a couple of you waiting on hold. We'll get to you here in just a moment. I'm going to give you guys some ultimatums back and forth of who you think is going to perform better for certain teams in some of these bigger matchups a little bit later this week. But first, Kalen DeBoer yesterday, just on how excited he is for that challenge against Florida State this weekend.
Excited about this last week of preparation. Guys, I think, are in a good spot. We continue to, have those dings continue to be healed up here nicely last week. And so getting, like I said, time to play, see where we're at. And, I think this team that we got here going on the road, be a great test with Florida State. We know that from the coaching staff, head coach Coach Norvell and two new coordinators, been a lot of film for us to pour through. We know that they've done a great job over their careers individually and now collectively. Know that we're going to face a good test here this weekend.
So that's Kalen DeBoer on his excitement level for that test coming up against Florida State. You mentioned the Jaden Roberts injury a little bit earlier, GMAC. Kalen DeBoer with an update on his status.
I'd say Jaden Roberts, still in question, just with what he's going through in the protocol and the process there. So he's progressing. So we'll kind of see here.
So that's Jaden Roberts' update. Your expectations for him? Do you think it's just going to be one like let that go through week one?
I don't think he's going to go this week, but we'll see. I mean, he's been kind of banged up all camp. Like, how ready would he be to even get out there and play, even if available? Do you think he's in game shape enough, having not practiced a ton this camp, to go out there and start? I have a hard time envisioning that.
If he's been held out of contact, things of that nature, then I would say, yeah, you probably let that one sit until the next week and try to get that thing ready and try to wait and see how that one goes. And also, Kalen DeBoer, just on year two differences, what it is this year maybe compared to last year just a little bit.
Consistency in practice, consistency with how guys handle each other when maybe there's a moment that doesn't go as well. And it doesn't even have to be on the practice field. It can be anything. And then just accountability to each other, if there's something that's just not to the level that they know, it doesn't mean that someone did something wrong. I'm talking about at the level, and making that guys that are new to the program understand what that level should be. There's just a great investment that you see, and that leads to the consistency that I'm talking about. In the end, I really feel like these guys, their investment's been at extremely high level. And if there was a rep or two in practice that didn't go their way, those individuals that group together, I missed a pass, they're going to put in the extra work and get that pass right after practice. And so, these guys want it. They want it, and the actions have supported, the work that it's supported through the work they've put in to reach their goals.
What can people look at, Greg, that you think will be noticeable as far as differences between year one, year two with this Alabama football team early on?
Man, I think the defensive comfort. I think that's the biggest thing. I think offensively, it's easy to point to, well, Grubb's back, so it's going to be different. I think the offense is going to look very similar to last year, with the exception of the skill set that the quarterback now has. I think identity-wise, they're still going to be similar. Now, quarterback run game is not going to be a huge part of what they do, fine, but they're still going to use a lot of the same sets, a lot of the same formations, a lot of the same identities, use of jet sweeps, moving receivers around, trying to create one-on-ones, being aggressive downfield. Like, they're still going to do some of those things. The only thing that we'll be missing will be quarterback run game. But I think the biggest thing that we'll see from year one to year two this year will be a comfort level within Kane Womack's defense early in the season. That group took a little while, especially on third down, fourth down, to kind of gel last season. I think they tried to figure out, all right, what do we have from a personnel standpoint that can rush the passer? I think they know LT Overton is a versatile defender, can do a lot of things for you. I think Quay Rousseau now can be a difference maker off the edge. Like, I think they know a little bit more about their personnel. I think they know now they don't have to protect their secondary because they can go as well as anybody in this country at that position. So I think that's a great starting point. So the biggest thing from year one to year two, from my vantage point, is not so much the understanding of what they want to be from a philosophical standpoint offensively, but it's the comfort level within the scheme defensively that should allow that group to progress faster than it did a year ago.
All right, let's go to the Higginbotham hotline. Welcome in Jeremy in Gilmer, Texas. Wants to talk Bama. Welcome in, Jeremy.
Good morning, guys. How are you?
Doing great. Thank you for listening in Texas.
Absolutely, man. Listen, I grew up in Alabama when I was a kid, moved back to Texas. So I grew up an Alabama fan growing up. And, Greg, it's been a pleasure to talk to you today because I'm going to take you back a ways back, man. I watched you at South Lake Carroll versus Lufkin, Texas at Stephen F. Austin way back. Do you remember that game? I'm sure you do.
Do I remember that game? Yes, I absolutely remember that game. Semifinals.
Threw for 90 yards, a touchdown, and a pick.
I think I threw 390 and about 5 touchdowns. It was high school, not college.
Warm-ups.
But I did have to go against Des Bryant, who I think went for about 300 himself, and a couple touchdowns on the outside.
That was a great game, man. I didn't like. We were living in Lufkin at the time, and I didn't like you that much. But when you came to Alabama, I loved you a lot, man. So I'm glad you went to Alabama after that.
Well, I appreciate it.
Just kind of reliving those high school days. But I guess my question was today, just you guys with Ty Simpson coming in for Bama this week, and like you said, not a lot of experience, but it's been there a while. How long do you think, if let's just say he struggles a little bit, how long do you think Kalen DeBoer leaves him in there and says, maybe we need to try somebody else or that, or do you think it might be a couple of weeks to adjust? Just playing the kind of the devil's advocate. Appreciate you guys. I'll hang up and listen. Appreciate the call.
Thanks for the call. Appreciate you listening in the great state of Texas. G-Mac, your thoughts there?
I mean, I think he's got a remarkably long leash. I don't think there's anything to be concerned about there. I think if you're Ty Simpson, it's your show. I think he's done a great job in camp of proving that it's his team, having full control of what the team wants to be, having full control of the offense. I don't think this is a scenario where you're going to fast forward and all of a sudden, Ty is now they're second guessing their opinion of Ty being their guy. Like, I think it'd have to be really bad for them to even consider going with the next guy. So I think Kalen, having played the position, understands the mental thought process that goes into playing the quarterback. And let's be real. Like, let's look back at last year. How many situations came up throughout the season where you felt like it was probably warranted to maybe give the next guy a look at quarterback? There were a couple, right?
Yeah, a few, yeah.
And they stuck with Jalen all the way through. So I don't think Kalen wants to be a coach that is going with the quarterback by committee type of approach.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think if it were somebody else that was solidified that we had seen, we could maybe come to this conclusion. But you're talking about a potentially going to a true freshman that we've never seen. And some people are thinking that that's going to be a better option.
And I don't even think it'd be the true freshman is not the next man up. I know what people wanted to look at that. I'm just telling you the true freshman is not the next man up. It's not.
How many career passes in games does Austin Mack have?
I don't care.
But my point is who you're going to. Oh. If you're bringing in a bona fide starter for another team that may be less talented that could hold you through, and you said, okay, like if you're a Michigan situation, we'll say, and you had true freshmen playing, we hadn't seen him, we don't really know, and I understand Ty's experience in Michigan and Bryce Hunter was very different, but if you were going to a guy, Mikey Keene, that had played, that knew it, that had been in games, that understood the speed, the athleticism, the physicality of it, how to get in and out of things, you might say, yeah, maybe that's a better option for us. Maybe we'll look at that. Especially in this game, what are you doing at Ty Simpson for the rest of the year if you say you have any kind of a short leash? You have to give him the opportunity to go out there and solidify himself as the guy at quarterback. So I'm with you, G-Mac. I just don't think that's feasible, that's out there, that's even a part of it. Couple more of you on hold. Stay there. We'll get to you when we come back. 800-239-9569. Text lines open. 205-834-9450. More on these games right after this on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Want your feedback on some of these games coming up this weekend. We'll get to that in just a moment. First, about your CBD store. Don't forget, listen online, joxfm.com. I've had 3 different people text me this morning. How can I listen to y'all? They're not in Birmingham, but people outside of the listening area. The Jox app is always there. You can watch us live on YouTube. joxfm.com. We're on live in Mobile, Montgomery, Huntsville, obviously Birmingham. A lot of different ways to tune in. We can appreciate that. We know football season's here, so folks kind of coming back.
Welcome back.
This is where all the political guys used to go on air. Did Matt Murphy used to go on and say goodbye to his listeners this week, like on Monday?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining in, guys. We'll see you.
Yeah.
Now it's see you in February because we go till what, January 20th, 22nd?
Yeah, forever.
Let's keep pushing it back.
We ride.
I want to go right into March Madness.
It's a lot of ball.
Guys, after the national championship this weekend, let's dive into the Dayton region as soon as this game's over next week. See what that's going to look like.
Heck yeah. Let's go.
Your CBD store has products, thankfully, for better focus throughout the course of the day. So if we needed those to dial in on some of these teams, some of these games, we'd have that. Better night's sleep. Your CBD store has answers for that. And they're open. Don't listen to the local news. Don't think that they've been shut down. That's not true. They're there. They've got the products they've always had. Treats for your dog, skincare, gut health, anxiety, arthritis. They've helped a couple dogs in my household with arthritis be able to get around just a little bit better. They can help yours also at your CBD store. If you need it for your daily routine, better night's sleep, better focus throughout the course of the day, your CBD store's got it. Maybe even just to take the edge off in the evenings. They've got product that can help you there. First company to have USDA certified organic oil supplements. Visit one of their 4 locations, Highway 280 by Baylor Brothers, 150 by the Cajun Cleaver, Trustful just off 459. Your CBD store where good health hits home. All right, let's knock out a couple more calls, and then we're going to go to a little and if or next hour after Larry Williamson talks Clemson. BR in Vestavia, welcome into the show.
What's going on, guys? Hey, Greg, last night we were coming home from we were coming home from the ball fields, and you got my 11-year-old fired up about Auburn. We heard you on Ian. I'm taking them out to the game tomorrow.
Oh, nice.
I was curious from
You're going to have fun.
You weren't on with Ian Fitzsimmons last night, so he's talking to me.
It's an awesome, he said Greg too, but it's an awesome environment, man. It's one of those places where you don't really think like, oh man, what an environment. I mean, we go to LSU, we go to Bama, we go to Tennessee. Like I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. You're going to have a great time in Waco. It's really cool.
I'd love to go to a game.
Where's a good barbecue place?
You can't go wrong. The best if you're flying to Dallas or you flying to Waco?
Waco.
If there's a pecan lodge down there, that'd be the one. Make sure you get brisket though. Like you can get good brisket here, but Texas is brisket capital of the world. So go brisket.
Be careful.
All right.
It is. We're whole hog barbecue here in the South.
I'm saying the pitmasters here in Birmingham are going to get mad at you for that. You can't.
We are really good with pork.
Ever here.
We're the best with pork.
Ever.
Texas is beef.
Do that.
It's brisket. It's different. It's no disrespect. Okay. The brisket is better in Texas.
Golden Domer, welcome into the show. You're on the Higginbotham Hotline.
Top of the morning, gentlemen. We made it to game week.
Made it.
We did it.
I mean, technically last week, but yeah, we're here again.
Yeah, that don't count. All right, look.
Ooh, got him.
So last night we had the meeting of the minds. We had some heated debates, and I want to get y'all's intake, and I want to get the listeners' intake. I would love to get them in. But we had Bama Hater, myself, Legend, Pelham Gator, and we all are at dinner debating some topics, okay? And a topic come up, and I wanted to kind of get y'all's opinion on, okay? So, in my opinion, weekends like this weekend, the opening weekend, we have multiple matchups between the almighty and dominant SEC versus other Power 5 conferences. These are the weekends that the SEC should dominate. And you look at this Baylor-Auburn game. How does Auburn, with all the 4-star recruits, a couple even 5-star recruits, how do they not just run Baylor off the field with their 2-star little white boys running around if everything we say about the SEC is true?
How do we know they won't?
But what I'm saying though is, but now now that Auburn's playing Baylor, now all of a sudden Baylor's a good team. But in the preseason, the Big 12 is inferior to the SEC.
Not on this show.
Okay, but you know that's the narrative, Cole.
I feel like we've given Baylor plenty of respect on this show.
You have.
We've given BYU plenty of respect on this show. We've given Colorado respect on this show. We've given Oklahoma State respect on this show. That's not our narrative here, though. So we can't play that game. If you want to play that game with other people that use that narrative, you can do that there. Welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. 9 a.m., hour number 3 underway. We're coming back to this weekend's games after we visit with Larry Williamson. He covers the Clemson Tigers. We'll discuss all of that with him. First, I'll tell you about Game Day Men's Health. If you're trying to feel better, if you're trying to lose some weight, if you're wondering why you have brain fog, why you're not getting good sleep, why you feel on edge, Game Day Men's Health wants to help you. And it's simple. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today. Sign up for the free consultation, free PSA test, free testosterone test. You roll in, they're going to tell you where you are and the different ways that they can help you. There are a lot of ways they can help you. Testosterone replacement. They got weight loss programs, the peptides that your body stops making over time that they can get back into you. Minimal upfront cost for all these programs, guys. That's different than a lot of other places in town. Holistic approach to health and wellness. Locker room environment, low stress. They want to get you in and just see how they can make you a better you, get you back to feeling normal. Game Day Men's Health can do that. Go to GameDayMen'sHealth.com today and sign up for that free consultation. Save 10% on any service they offer by mentioning Mac and Cube when you walk in the front door. All right, Larry Williamson with us now. Joins us on the Higginbotham Hotline, covers the Clemson Tigers. Larry, we were discussing a little bit of LSU heading into this game and the aspects in which they could bring. Some might be what we think they are. Some might not live up to the expectations. What do you think Dabo Swinney's biggest concern is that this LSU Tigers football team is bringing to Clemson this weekend?
I would say two things. One, more of a bigger picture question. Just in light of how they responded a year ago against Georgia in Atlanta. I mean, they got drubbed on the scoreboard, but that was a 6-0 game at halftime, and they went into that game really confident that they were going to be able to get at Georgia's defense. But they just kind of melted down on the detail things on like 4 or 5 plays, and that's how little it takes to turn a game into a blowout. I think they were surprised that they weren't able to, pull off those detail things that they flubbed last year. So I think that's that's what I sense right now. Like the people inside that football building are very optimistic and very confident about this team. Be it playing at a national championship level. But I think as we sit here midweek, it's like, hey, these are still, college-age kids, a number of whom are going to have to do it under the lights for the first time against a really talented SEC team. So you never really know, right? The second thing, more of a, I guess, X and O thing, drilling down on it, I think it's just how you're going to cover those receivers. LSU, you could say they are as good or better than Clemson's receivers. I think they're definitely faster, have more top end sort of vertical capabilities than Clemson's do right now. They just have a lot of them, and so I think Clemson feels good about their corners in Avion Terrell and Ashton Hampton. They feel pretty good about a couple of the guys they have behind them. But at safety, man, they the back end of that defense, they have Khalil Barnes, a potentially elite player that they think is going to be an elite player. He missed most of camp with a hamstring injury, and beyond that, they have almost zero of the experience that's gonna really be crucial on late Saturday night.
What do you think about the defensive structure that we're going to see from Tom Allen compared to what we've seen the last few years? I feel like we haven't spent enough. We've talked a lot about Clemson's personnel. We haven't talked enough about Tom Allen and how they might look different this year from a structure standpoint. So when you've watched them, when you've talked to folks, how many changes are we anticipating on that side of the ball?
It's so fascinating. Like you wonder. I mean, it's been a love fest for Tom Allen all off season. He's expected to be a genius right away. What I wonder is when you're starting from scratch as a coordinator and introducing a whole new language, how long does it take? I asked him that yesterday, and he said, the good thing is our culture was already established here. And, my biggest job is building up their confidence. And a part of the building up of that confidence is mastering the system. And so I think he seemed a little uneasy just because he doesn't know. He's going to be depending on a number of players who haven't really been in that environment to really produce like they have been in practice. The really interesting thing to me as I sort of ask around and also observe some of the things he did last year at Penn State is how, if you go back and look at Kevin Jennings falling apart at Beaver Stadium, that wasn't just Kevin Jennings having a bad game. That was Tom Allen putting on a masterclass in changing up his coverages pre-snap to post-snap, showing man and then actually being in zone. When you see Kevin Jennings throwing it into the chest of a Penn State linebacker, that's not just because Kevin had an awful brain fart. It's because he didn't know that guy was there. And so I really think they've been working a lot on that during camp, changing up their looks at the second and third levels, pre-snap to post-snap. And I really think that's what he's going to hang his hat on, because I don't know if he's going to have to bring a ton of pressure because Clemson's front four is going to be so good, I think, if they're able to stay healthy.
That would, to me, be what you're leaning on in this game is Cade Klubnik being able to direct traffic, manage a defense that's going to throw a lot of things at you, and then your defense line has to be disruptive. Is there any Is there a bigger key than those two for Clemson finding a way to win this game in your mind?
No, I agree. LSU, as fearsome and formidable as they are in the passing game, it's kind of hard to imagine them walking out of Clemson with a win being really one-dimensional. They haven't run the ball well. LSU hasn't the past 2 years. And so if I'm an LSU fan, I am most worried about Clemson's defensive line owning things against an offensive line that lost 4 guys to the NFL draft. Yes, they brought in a couple of transfers on the interior, but boy, they're awfully young out on the edges at tackle. And so, I think LSU is going to have some balance. They're going to have to have a semblance of a running game. You could argue the same thing needs to be true for Clemson. But I think Clemson's probably in a better position to get a somewhat consistent running game to allow Cade to really perform with that passing game that really blossomed late last season.
When you look at Cade Klubnik's growth and the evolution that we saw from year 1 as a starter to year 2 is remarkable. All the things he did poorly in 23, he did better in 24. Downfield accuracy, willingness to take off, ability to beat you and break you down with his legs, a couple massive runs, one against Pitt that won them the game. When you look at his next step, what's he been focusing on this offseason to kind of evolve into a more complete player?
I think it's probably making layups out of the routine throws. If you go back and look, even against Texas, that was the object of a lot of the offseason optimism that you've seen inside and outside the program, because that dude was making some NFL throws for sure, throws and catches by those talented receivers that really made you think, oh, this looks familiar. This looks like the passing game, the Clemson passing game looked from 15 to 20. But I think if you also go back and look at other parts of that game, you see some questionable footwork, some questionable decision-making. I think he needs to refine that. And, oh, by the way, Clemson's last time at Death Valley, Cade had a really good game, particularly running the ball and also throwing it. But there at the end, they can't send their field goal team onto the field to force overtime because he had a really glaring brain fart trying to throw the ball in the dirt. The ball hits Phil Moffa's foot, bounces up in the air. Gamecock intercepts it, game over. And so I think that it's probably a blend of a few technical refinements, but also keeping his head in the big stage games, right? Like, being the type of player they need in those settings. And I think this is quite an opening examination of that here on Saturday night.
I don't think there's any doubt. Where's the running back depth chart for the Clemson Tigers heading into this one, Larry?
Well, they are really uplifted by what they've seen out of Adam Randall, the converted receiver. I was a skeptic last December when they moved him to running back, but based on everything I've seen and heard, he's kind of a natural there. Gideon Davidson has been kind of buried on the depth chart. He's a 5-star freshman who naturally, your first off-season through, it's more than just about what you do with the ball in your hands, because you got to protect that number 2 who's standing beside you, particularly, like you just think about a scenario Saturday night, Harold Perkins coming off the edge, and Gideon Davidson has to handle that amid the pressure of that situation. You get the idea. I think long-term this season, they believe Gideon Davidson is going to just go up and up and up. In the context of Saturday night, not sure. David Eziamume, I might not be pronouncing that correctly. I apologize. He's had a really good offseason after he spent his freshman year last year developing. Really violent runner. Jay Haynes, who suffered the torn ACL in the ACC championship game last year, he's still getting back. He's not going to play Saturday, but long term, they're hoping he can get back and be a factor back there.
But with Jay Haynes, what is an update on his availability? Because that was a pretty brutal injury on the kick return there in the ACC title game. And an ACL, you can come back pretty quickly now, but a running back, it just takes time mentally to come back from that knee. So is it expected to see him early, or is this going to be kind of later in the season?
No, I don't. I don't want to pretend that I know exactly what's going on there. Those are always tricky, and it depends on the player. But from what I've picked up, I don't think game 3 or 4 is out of the question. I think he's come along really well. One of the most encouraging sights I thought at the start of camp in early August, late July, he was wearing a big knee brace, but he looked pretty good at that time. And so he looked pretty fluid the way he was moving around, didn't really seem to be favoring it that much. And I've heard nothing of any setbacks since then. I think he's continued to progress. And so, I could be wrong here, but I don't think that they're going to have to wait until like halfway through the season or the second half of the season to get him back.
So how do you see this matchup playing out? How do you see this one going? Obviously, home field advantage for Clemson. They're going to have the advantage in a couple of spots. Offensive line, I think I'd give Clemson the advantage here. You kind of went back and forth with the receivers, but what schematically, strategically, just with what you've heard through camp, how do you see this one going?
I just put a lot of weight on the line of scrimmage when it's an otherwise even game. And, I think if those LSU offensive tackles are able to neutralize TJ Parker and Will Helt and Jaheim Lawson and the interior is able to keep Peter Woods from wreaking havoc, and they're able to get something going with the run and protect Nuss, I think it could be a long day. But I go on what I've seen. I think Peter Woods, he's getting a lot of hype, guys. I don't know if it's enough hype based on what I've heard. I think he's going to have a monster season, of course, with the obvious disclaimer, if he stays healthy. That dude was up to if you told me he was 360 toward the end of last year, I'd believe you. He's down to 307, 310, back on the inside where he should be. I've heard just nothing but rave reviews about him. I think DeMonte Capehart, who's been here for 5 years, he's never really been healthy. Just went through camp healthy probably for the first camp since he's over his whole time here. That tandem right there, Capehart and Woods, with Stephon Green behind him, I just think they are in a much different spot defensively, particularly on the line of scrimmage, than they were late last year when they were giving up 900 rushing yards a game, it felt like. And if you can just dominate the trenches, and that makes tackling a lot easier behind them, because your guys are just, your run fits are probably easier to make. Your alignment and all that, everything sort of helps if you're able to live in the opponent's backfield. So I give the edge to Clemson with their offensive line in the shape they are right now. I mean, I think it's going to be one of the best offensive lines we've seen at Clemson in years, and that's what I give the edge to. But you never know. In this type of game, man, it comes down to, can you hold on to the ball? Can you be fortunate, and can you capitalize in the red zone with touchdowns instead of field goals?
Absolutely. Great stuff, Larry. It's been a while since we caught up with you. Glad you're able to get in here before we get to watch this game this weekend. Enjoy it. Look forward to catching up with you soon.
Yes, sir. Glad to be with you guys as always.
There you go, Larry Williamson. He covers the Clemson Tigers and does it as well as anyone. Should be an intriguing matchup. Should be a fun matchup this weekend with LSU and Clemson. One that I don't know if you see massive advantages in many spots in this one, Greg, but there are a couple that you look at and say, ooh, really like Clemson there. And there are a couple that you look at and you say, really like what we're going to get from LSU there. More with Clemson, though, in your mind?
Yes. I think with Clemson, I at least know what I'm getting along the line of scrimmage. That to me matter. And there are question marks. I think LSU's defensive fronts can be good. I really do. I believe that group has a chance to be really good. But I don't know that for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot bank my life on it. I'm optimistic. I'm cautiously optimistic, but I don't know with 100% certainty that group is going to be elite. I think Clemson's will be. And then with Clemson's offensive line, I know that group's not going to be elite.
Right.
But at least I know what I have. Whereas with LSU, I have no telling.
Totally fair. All right, so we'll see where that one goes. Obviously, a lot more to discuss with it. When we come back, I have a different direction that I want to take on some of the bigger games this weekend. A little bit of and/or. Going to have the guys choose one side of different aspects of some of these games and see which direction they go. We'll do that right after this on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. I want to get to some sort of and or, if maybe, who will be better when we're talking about this upcoming college football weekend. A couple different directions that we're going to go here. I am getting a barbecue place to stop by in Waco, Hellberg Barbecue in Woodway.
I don't know it.
Top 10 in the state, apparently.
Hey.
So for you guys making the trip there, you can go check that one out. See if that's the one that works. Don't know. I don't know spots in Waco.
I mean, I have been to Waco 100 times. Waco is mostly famous for kolaches, which is hilarious. But they have some of like the best kolaches in the United States for whatever reason. I don't know why that is. I'd have never done the due diligence, but they are so good. If you were looking for like an easy breakfast, highly recommend going to get a kolache in Waco.
Okay. Let's go through some of the games this weekend. I give you the better or worse, over or under, more or less of one aspect of these games. You tell me which direction you would go and why. More passing yards this weekend. Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier. Greg?
Garrett Nussmeier.
Why?
Because they can't run the ball.
Or won't run the ball?
Oh, stop.
Which?
Don't you start.
It's a new year, Cole.
We're turning
it's
over
a new year.
Cool.
We're being positive.
It's not a new year in August. I mean, we've been in this year for a while.
Cole's in the hole.
New football year.
Cole is
Noted.
in the hole.
Turn the page.
Exactly.
Damian, more passing yards. Cade Klubnik, Garrett Nussmeier.
Garrett Nussmeier.
John?
Klubnik.
Okay. More rushing yards in the game. Think carefully before you answer. Notre Dame or Miami?
I think lost in the shuffle of Miami's offseason evaluation is how good they were running the football at times last year.
And the strength of their team is going to be the
offensive line.
There you go.
Hand in the dirt.
Hand in the
2 points stance in the dirt.
Hand on the hip. So you'll go Miami is what you're saying.
Yes.
Damian?
I'm going Notre Dame.
Okay.
Notre Dame because sack yardage counts in rushing yards as well.
Whoa.
Whoa.
I think that's a really important aspect of that football game. Interested to see with some injuries if the Notre Dame offensive line can get Jeremiah Love going against Reuben Bain and company. Also, we all talk about Carson Beck, but as Greg has told me a couple of times, he is scouring the internet to find catches that these new receivers for Miami have made. Is that just going to work?
They have good like the problem is just you got to go look for it. Like they have a speedster from BYU named Keelan Marion that can hit 21.5 miles an hour. He can rip. Problem is BYU is not like an exceptionally good passing team last year. So the tape of him, quote, making plays was a little few and far between. They bring over CJ
Uzama.
No.
Gardner Johnson.
No, CJ Daniels from LSU.
LSU and Liberty.
Correct. And there's some good tape from CJ Daniels, but he's a little banged up most of last year.
Yeah,
like,
didn't
I think
have him last year.
He's a steady, solid wide receiver.
I loved him when LSU was getting him, though.
Not a game breaker, but a steady and solid player.
It's a Keandre Lambert-Smith type guy.
Yeah, so I think it'll be kind of interesting to see how it all works out with the wide receiver core, because I think I think Miami's personnel at wide receiver is talented. It's just you're kind of piecemealing it together by going and looking at skill sets and traits and hoping that it fits into what they want to be. Like we know what Miami is. Now with Cam Ward at the helm, very different than what I think it will be with Carson Beck. I think they're going to run the ball more. I think there's going to be a lot of check with me's at the line of scrimmage where, hey, if the numbers look good, you run the ball, hand it off. I think every play could have a tag this year for Miami. Why wouldn't it?
Yep.
I think they'll have a ton of RPOs. If you get one-on-one, take it. If you don't, run it. And if you look at Miami's run game, it is downhill. Ooh, it's downhill. So
North-south, that's for sure.
It's I'd probably go Miami, but I don't think that it's a foregone conclusion.
More interceptions. Steven Jelly, Joey Aguilar.
Aguilar.
Does that have to do with just more of newness of the offense or
I just think
quality of the defense?
I think he's a little bit more of a risk taker. Like Angeli knows who he is. He's not going to he's going to play winning football. He's not going to be
proven there that new guy can come in and do good things.
It's not going to be glamorous.
Yeah.
No.
Like it's going to be efficient. It's going to be moving the chains.
It's also going against a really good front.
Correct. And I think he will get flustered. I think Tennessee will win the game. I just think Angeli is not going to be a guy that puts his team in harm's way.
Damian?
Yeah. Kind of with Greg's point with Aguilar.
Okay. John?
It's probably going to be Aguilar.
Okay.
Because even though Tennessee's offense usually is predicated on not turning the ball over, when you have that turnover genome in you, it's hard to kind of pass it. So I think Aguilar has more.
Boy, they played this song out when it was hot. All right, more touchdowns accounted for. Pay attention to context clues here. More touchdowns accounted for. Sawyer Robertson, Jackson Arnold.
On the season or the game?
The game.
Do pick sixes count?
Sawyer Robertson.
Okay. Damian?
Jackson Arnold.
You're anticipating a lot of quarterback run by Jackson Arnold?
Maybe a smidge.
Yeah. I can see
no,
it.
pick sixes we're not counting that here.
Okay, then Sawyer.
Oh. Okay. No confidence in Jackson Arnold here on this show other than Damian.
Hey.
More touchdown passes only. Caden Salter, Haynes King.
That's such a good one. I'll go Caden Salter, but I don't feel great about it.
Playing from behind, maybe?
Perhaps. But I also think Georgia Tech's weapons are going to be good. Yeah. I love the addition of Rivers at FIU. The more I watched him, the more I'm like, okay, this is going to be legit. So I think that's going to be interesting.
Okay. Damian?
Caden Salter. I don't think they're going to make Haynes King throw it that much. So
He'll on the ground do most of their damage.
Yeah.
I think some quick throws could maybe do it for him, some screens, things like that, where maybe a pop pass here or there down in the red zone, he could go ahead. But I would probably lean Salter here as well. John?
Haynes King.
Oh, well, it's Georgia Tech guy, of course. He's a homer. More sacks in the game. Not allowed, which this would play into that, sort of, but we're not talking that. We're talking team who has more sacks at end of game. Texas or Ohio State? This is a fun one because you think about those Texas edge rushers, Colin Simmons, Trey Moore when he's down, Ethan Burke being able to get after you. Yeah, the middle might have some questions. Ohio State's O-line a little bit reworked. Julian saying new quarterback. Arch Manning, better mobility.
Right.
Can get away. Texas O-line completely reworked. Ohio State lost some pass rushers. This is a complete coin flip in my mind here.
Texas.
I might just go Texas because of the escapability of Arch.
Yeah. Texas easy because of
Easy,
who they
you
have.
say?
Yeah, who they have tackling on their defense. Yeah, Texas.
I go Texas.
I don't know, Greg. That Texas O-line is what would scare me about being so
Scares me to
confident that it
death.
would be Texas there.
The Texas O-line scares me to death. I don't have a lean on this one. I'll go Texas, but I don't feel great about it.
Texas is your winner then. Context clues again here. Pay attention closely. More rushing touchdowns in the game. Not the season, Greg.
Oh, boy.
Or the month. Thomas Castellanos, Alabama running backs, plural.
Collectively, Alabama running backs.
Okay.
Alabama running backs.
John?
I think it's Castellanos.
Ooh. See, I didn't think that was as easy as y'all made it sound. That was one that I kind of went back and forth on, like, I could see, maybe.
Nah.
Alabama running backs will get it, though, because they had more votes. Finally, going back to Columbus, Ohio. This one is not as black and white. This one a little bit more gray area, but I just want to hear your answer. Better outlook for after the game.
Ooh, open-ended.
So specifically taking game performance and then how that changes opinions moving ahead. Arch Manning, Julian Sayin.
Arch Manning.
Man, the Ohio State-Texas questions have been much easier than I anticipated.
I'm going to be honest with you. I watched the Julian Sayin clips yesterday. I watched all 27 snaps of his from last year. I was underwhelmed.
Arch could be running for his life, though.
Could be. The thing that I find
I'm just throwing out other sides of these.
I get it. The thing I find interesting about this matchup potentially is that I think the linebackers for Ohio State are really athletic. So I would expect a spy on Arch Manning all game long.
Invisible or not?
Invisible spy? Depends.
Les Miles always said, if you could get an invisible spy, that's the direction you'd want to go.
It's always what I want. I want to lean on less.
Less is not always more.
No, I'm going Arch Manning.
Arch Manning, okay.
I think it's saying.
But think about this right now, though. How much better could Arch Manning's outlook be?
And that's why I'm going.
And how much
Sayin.
better could Julian Sayin's be? Yeah. I don't think Julian Sayin even half has an outlook right now. Like, how many people are out there saying, just wait, other than Ohio State fans, because they will not even allow a way that Texas can find a possibility to win this game based on what I'm hearing.
What is the comp for Julian Sayin? Like, if you had to compare him to
Bo Nix.
That mobile, you think?
Auburn or Oregon?
He can move some. He had one run last year. I think it got called back, but he did look like he was pretty athletic.
Yeah, I know he's fairly nimble, but I didn't know.
He's not a guy that you want running. Like, his run is not going to just wear you out, but it's not.
Doesn't have the toughness at the end of him either.
Yeah, it's not. He's 208 pounds. You don't want him taking a lot of big shots, but he can keep you honest with his legs. He's kind of your typical modern day quarterback. Like, every modern day quarterback has to have an ability to keep you honest, but at the same time, maybe not a guy that can kill you with his legs. I think he throws a pretty ball. I think it's a nice spin. It's catchable. But I tell you what, man, inaccurate passes last year, particularly against Purdue. A lot of misses last year when he was in the game. There were a lot of big misses, uncatchable passes like that. Look, it's a freshman. Might have been 10 degrees for all. I have no idea. Coming off the bench cold is never easy. So you got to take it with a slight grain of salt. And you got to think from year 1 to year 2, he's going to be a much better player. But he's got to be a whole heck of a lot better than what I saw on the tape last year if they're going to win this game.
More total yards, Kyron Drones, Lenore Sellers.
Lenore Sellers.
They could be throttling back late also.
I'm about to say, I'd go Kyron Drones.
That's the only way that I would see it. Because
I think Kyron Drones is kind of a one-man show. I don't think Lenore Sellers has to be.
That's
I
sort
like
of the direction
Rushul.
I was going to go.
I think they have a good back. Like, I think they're going to be okay. So I think they'll distribute maybe a little more this year, and that'll be a little helpful. I think Kyron Drones is going to have to go off. And against a relatively new defense from a personnel standpoint, that might be possible.
Okay, this one's going to sound easy when you first hear it, but there are some context clues that you need to pay close attention to. More receptions, Jeremiah Smith or Texas running backs and tight ends?
So what? And going back and our new software, I just absolutely love it. I went back and watched the tight end at Cal, Jack Endries.
Mm-hmm.
That guy's going to be a good player for Texas. I'm just telling you, there will not be a show in college or show in the country that will tell you, hey, keep an eye on this kid, Jack Endries, for Texas at tight end. I bet you there's not a listener that is listening to this show that knows who the heck that guy is.
Here's the thing. He's fine. I don't think he's an upgrade from Gunnar Hill.
He's not an upgrade, but that's not the question. The question was,
he will be more of a liability at the line of
receptions.
scrimmage. I think maybe straight line speed he has just a tad more. I think he's fine.
The question was,
Jeremiah Smith or running backs and tight ends for
in
Texas,
quantity,
more catches.
In quantity. And remember last year, and this is not necessarily an indicator of future results. We know this. I think Texas was going to have a really good plan for Jeremiah Smith. He had 1 reception for 3 yards in the semifinal. That's been long documented. We know that. They're going to double him. They're going to say, all right, we feel good putting our weaker of our 2 corners in a safety and bracket Jeremiah Smith, and we're going to make Brandon Ennis and Carnell Tate beat us. And we think that Muhammad, our number 1 corner, can handle Carnell Tate one-on-one. And we think that our pass rush can create enough havoc, and we have enough athleticism in the interior and at nickel to handle Brandon Ennis. Now, those 2 guys go off, you got major issues. But I think they will sell out completely to shut down Jeremiah Smith's looks.
Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of where my head was
think they
going.
can shut Carnell Tate down one-on-one?
I think Muhammad's got a chance. I don't think he's going to shut him down. I just think
some of that may go back to quarterback.
A lot of the one-on-ones are going to come down to Tate versus Muhammad. That's my guess.
All right.
That's what I'd do if I were Texas.
So you're going Texas running backs and tight ends?
Yes.
Damian?
Same.
John?
Yeah, because he really averaged, I think, like 5 a game.
Also, if you're playing spy, what does that mean your linebackers are doing? Looking at the quarterback. What does that mean they're not doing? Looking at the running back. I think the running back receptions in this game could be pretty high.
Weiser's back, right? Yes. Okay, cool. Running back receptions.
CJ Baxter's back, right?
Yeah. I mean, Sark's going to, specifically with Arch on the road in a game of this magnitude, I would expect a lot to be geared towards quick passes to the backs out of the backfield. So I would probably go there too, even though I would set the over-under for Smith receptions a little bit higher than what you were thinking there. I'd probably had that at about 9.5.
Under.
Receptions?
Under by 1 million.
Oh, you're going to force feed him. Let's go.
Yeah, and you know what? He's probably going to catch most of them too.
That is true.
Double coverage or not. Like
No
that guy's going to go get it.
Hang on a second. Just hang on a second. You're telling me that you think he has 10 receptions in this game?
I'm telling you, I think he's the best player in college football.
I don't disagree
and there's
with
not
that.
a damn thing a lot of people can do about it. That's what I'm telling you.
Texas did something about it last year.
He's a freshman. Who's a true freshman?
10 receptions? You know how many catches that is?
He's the best player
10.
in college football.
1 more than 9.
Cole drinking that clown water.
And it.
Hey.
Put some money on it. I'll take under.
Under 9?
I say 9 or less. If 9.5's the number.
Here's what I like here.
Oh boy.
10 is egregious.
It is egregious. That's
10
what
is
I'm
out of
saying.
this world.
That's what I'm saying.
But he'll take 9 or less.
First of all,
I could absolutely see 9, 10.
No, you set the total.
You're an idiot.
You set the total at 9.5.
I did, but you're sitting there telling me 9 is responsible.
I said I'm
but
not saying
10
it's
is agreed.
responsible.
You said
I'm just
I'll
saying,
take 9 or less, which means you think you can get to 9.
I'll adjust it. I'll go 7.5.
I'll take way over on that. So play it in the middle. We'll go 8.
8.5 or 8?
8.
Oh, why not 8.5?
I was going to take 9.5. I'll take 8.5. I don't care.
Well, obviously.
You sitting here telling me that you think somebody's going to shut him down.
Texas just did.
Who won the game?
Ohio State.
So that means
by
Texas
doing what?
Can't beat them next year.
By running the football.
Exactly.
Okay.
With 2 guys that aren't there anymore and an offensive line that's also not intact anymore, which means let's get it to that guy.
All right.
You didn't have to throw it to him 20 times. You've been a new quarterback before. You've said this. Who did you want to go find? Probably
Julio.
number 8.
I think number 8's good.
Yeah, I think Julian's saying in the back of his mind is probably
direction.
going, when everything breaks down and it goes to hell in a handbasket and I don't know what to do.
4 is open.
By God, I'm probably throwing to that guy. Lob, dart, back shoulder, underthrown, overthrown. Good chance he's getting it. Man, I hate to overcomplicate some things sometimes, but let's throw to him.
I wonder if Texas knows that's coming.
Okay. We'll see if Texas's corners are good enough to do that. Back with more after this. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning, 9:45, Wednesday, August 27th, right here on Jox 94.5. Before we move on, a couple other maybe sneaky games to just say, careful. Golden Domer says, SEC about to get exposed again. Probably cover spread 50% like usual, lose a few like usual. We special. So if you don't cover the spread, you're exposed?
By Vegas terms, yeah, I guess.
What if you won the game?
Good teams win. Great teams cover.
Talk to them.
According to some.
Go back and check. John, could you grab the clip where Herm Edwards says you play to cover the game? Can we get that audio? Or actually any coach that said you play to cover the spread. I need that clip for the last team that was motivated at all by covering a spread. That said, by God, we got to cover, guys. Now, if we were referencing our Texas-Ohio State conversation a moment ago, then yes, that would be your mindset heading into the game. Jeremiah Smith, Ryan Wingo, Jack Indry's like, yeah, we got to cover. Don't feel like you're exposed if you don't cover spreads in a weekend.
I would tend to agree.
Nebraska-Cincy was one we talked about during the break, Greg, is one just – we're going to give you a couple be careful games because I think we've opened folks' eyes, at least I hope we have, to Tennessee-Syracuse. Like, be really careful with that game. Virginia Tech, South Carolina, be really careful with that game. Those are a little more obvious. I think some people would look at and say, well, yeah, of course. Brendan Sorsby can play.
Yes.
Quarterback for Cincinnati. And they have the majority of that offensive line is back intact. They ran the ball well last year. Now, you lose Corey Kiner, but Tyree Walker from
Wisconsin
and Oklahoma and Palomar Junior College. He's been around for a minute. Oklahoma folks loved him when he was in. From Las Vegas originally, but 190 carries, 864 yards, 10 rushing touchdowns last year. So I think they're still going to be able to run the ball. And as you pointed out, Sorsby's got some game. Now, it's a totally new receiving core, so that's got to fit together. That's got to work. But as you stated, just be careful, Nebraska.
Just telling
Arrowhead
you.
Stadium. It's not at home. You don't have home crowd advantage.
I'm just telling you.
Be careful.
I think Sorsby is a dude. I'm a big fan. He's 235 pounds. He's a power runner. He was the only quarterback in the FBS last year to have a 425-yard passing game. That was against Texas Tech. And a 125-yard rushing game. That was against Iowa State. The only one.
Oh, boy.
In the entire country. If he gets going, you got problems. He was one of just 3 quarterbacks in the country that went for over 2,500, 15 touchdowns, and 9 rushing touchdowns. And by the way, did so with an underwhelming supporting cast. And that group hopefully is better this year.
You've got Eric Phillips back. You've got Dante Corleone back up front for Cincinnati, guys that have proven they can get to the quarterback. Just all we're saying is be careful there. Just be very careful of that game. Mississippi State Southern Miss, another one that people were looking at saying, watch out. I'm going to just go ahead and say I'm not really buying the Southern Miss thing here. I think with now finally getting Blake Shapen in there, he's got to stay healthy. But with him healthy, some of the additions they've made up front on that offensive line, other people are, Greg. Now listen, I understand you can't go sleepwalk through any game. You see this one a little bit different than I do. This is not on my, hey, you better be careful radar just yet. Now,
but why do I think it's on the, hey, you better be careful radar?
Because they have all new players and nobody knows what to expect.
All new players. A lot of those players were at Marshall. Those players understand the expectation level. They were pretty dang good at Marshall the last couple of years. Not like winning a ton of games, but they were physical and they can rise to the occasion. And who does Mississippi State play next week? What's a bigger game for Mississippi State's brand profile? A game on the road in Hattiesburg, watched by hundreds, or a game where they welcome in a college football playoff team from a year ago at home at Davis Wade with a national TV audience that will be in the millions?
I get it, but I also don't think Mississippi State's in position to be that, and I think they know that. I think inherently like we can't be looking ahead to Arizona State. We got to handle this one. We got to handle this one first. Then we'll worry about the other ones.
I get it. And it's a rivalry game in state, that I think will have their attention. I'm just saying if they don't, be careful. If you're looking ahead, you're going to be in for a battle. You lost to Toledo last year, so you have already shown an ability to lower yourself to the occasion. If you let it become a street fight, that's not good for where things could be heading.
Fair. All right, when we come back, we're going to get another tweet from Domer on gambling and how that decides whether or not you're a good conference or not. But first, Greg, as we hit the floor of the show's possibilities by reading Domer's tweets next segment, if you need a new floor in your home, who do you call?
That'd be Shinar Flooring. They're great. Fu and his guys have done an amazing job of stockpiling inventory. They have 40,000 square feet of Core-Tec flooring by Shaw in stock right now. That's huge. But you can also go and take advantage of that inventory by getting $10 off per box that you order from Shinar Flooring. You can do so by going to fuandyou.com, looking at all the options. That Core-Tec flooring by Shaw will improve and upgrade the value of your home or business. So go and check it out today. fuandyou.com at Shinar Flooring. 12 months financing is available. fuandyou.com.
All right, when we come back, more on SEC covering games and potentially a bad box score of the day right after this on Jox. All right, welcome back in. McElroy and Cubelic in the morning. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Golden Domer tweets in, anyone willing to bet I'll take every Power 4 team to cover the spread versus the SEC. I'll have a winning record Sunday night. when I'm watching Notre Dame drag the U?
I'll pass.
But who cares? Is it not about winning and losing? That would be my point. Alabama's heat and humidity is another point to make. Don't let it affect your home and family. Keep them comfortable with an affordable trade and cooling system. They've been recognized as America's most trusted brand 11 consecutive years. Official cooling partner here at Jox. Find a comfort specialist near you at Train.com. It's hard to stop a train. Well, why does covering a spread make you elite? When does that become the gauge of if a conference is good or bad? And I'm asking honestly. I don't know. I don't understand this. It's not about. I thought you played to win the game.
Usually.
I could legitimately care less how many covers or non-covers or any of it. I don't. Who cares? But.
I mean, it's still nice to cover because there are a lot of people watching that.
Yeah, if you're on that side of it, great.
A lot of people care about that.
I mean,
you are so down on
no,
covering.
it just doesn't move the meter for me. I'm not going to sit here and be like, cover machine, best team in football.
Cover machine.
Against who?
Against who? Cover machine. The old cover machine.
The old cover machine.
Love the cover machine.
I don't know. See if Texas can be a cover machine. Apparently Greg thinks they will. Find out this weekend. 3-man front. Talks about it next.